right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 9 of the Fairweather Fans Podcast. I am your host, Dan Fairweather. Here is my co-host, Tyler Puska.
Yes! Yes!
Woo-hoo!
Yes! All it took
it.
was a little break, and here we are.
I know. I sat it. Before I went to bed, I said it 5 times just to make sure I
Writing it on the chalkboard.
I know. Trust me, a broken clock.
What a
is right
way to
twice a day.
start. Holy crap.
Miracles can happen. You know?
Do you believe in miracles?
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't give up on anybody because, no one's ever lost.
Nope.
But I'll probably fuck it up next week.
At least we got one right.
Yeah. It is currently July 18th, 2021. We're recording on a Sunday, a little unorthodox because we just took the last 2 weeks off. We felt that with the expansion draft and everything coming up, we kind of had to get right back on the fucking grindstone, get going.
Little emergency pod.
Yeah, get the momentum back going. So we're going to be recording Sunday and probably be uploading tomorrow on Monday and then recording also this Thursday or Friday. And we'll talk about the results of the expansion draft and stuff like that. But yeah, Ty, how you doing?
Good.
How was the break?
It was great. I went to St. Augustine, Florida. It's the oldest city in America.
Not bad. Oldest city in America?
Yeah, it's the oldest city in America.
Like city?
Yeah, it's the oldest city in America.
Why, is it like the Spanish? Is that where the Spanish landed?
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Right in that area.
Anything
It
else?
was beautiful.
I thought you were in Jacksonville.
St. Augustine's just outside of Jacksonville. Landed in Jacksonville. Went to Topgolf in Jacksonville. Once again, they got to get one here in Boston because it's worth it.
I wouldn't hate that.
It is worth it.
How's the food? How's the Topgolf food?
It was really good. Mac and cheese bites.
Oh. Was it like Buffalo Wild Wings good or like actually good?
No, it was like
Actually good?
like Buffalo Wild Wings like better, like times 2.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. Yeah, but
where did you go? You went down the Cape, right?
Yeah, I was down the Cape for the 4th and all that stuff in Bourne, and that was a blast, man. Like had all the family down and stuff like that. All the family friends were down there for the 4th and stuff like that. We had a blast.
That's awesome.
It was something we do every year, and it gets better every year. So I had kind of shitty weather up north for most of the 2 weeks span we were there, but you can't be perfect every year. We made the most of it anyway. So glad to be back though in the studio. I know I missed doing it the last 2 weeks. Kind of pissed that we didn't get a pot up, but that's life, and we're just gonna keep grinding and have hopefully 6 more episodes before the end of the summer, and just keep pumping out this content.
Oh my god, and we got plenty of it.
Exactly,
plenty of it.
I know it might be the off season, but it doesn't really feel like it, especially with COVID extending these seasons and a lot of seasons starting in January and stuff like that. Kind of had a late playoff run, and it's mid-July, and we have what 2 months until preseason starts for hockey?
They just released the Bruins actually just released their preseason schedule.
I'm pretty sure everyone's starting on September 26th. But
so it's back to normal.
Yeah, but still you have all of the off season. We still have baseball. You still have free agency and
NHL draft, NHL free agency.
Shit's crazy.
We're in a good place right now.
I don't think we're gonna have any shortage of content. But with that said, I'm thrilled to just get going because we have a lot on the docket.
There is a ton to talk about here looking at this.
Right, but with that said, there's a lot of stuff on the docket, but this is primarily going to be the expansion draft episode.
Yep, and I've been talking about I mentioned this day one,
Mm-hmm.
podcast 1. I was like, we got to do an expansion draft one.
Yep.
And here we are, the expansion draft's Wednesday, and we made all of our picks, so we're going to share them all with you later on, but we're going to start with the NHL. We'll get right into it.
Get into some general news. Starting off on a more serious note, we had the passing of Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender Matisse Keith-Lennox. Obviously, that happened July 4th, and just talk about a stunning loss for the hockey world. I don't know if many people knew about this kid, but I know he only played a handful of games in the NHL, but you could just tell from the sheer amount of people that reacted and reached out and were commenting on this kid had a profound effect on other people and the people he played with, man. Because, you could see this. It was just like the hockey world went silent.
You could see so many people that he affected, and he was outstanding his year in the World Juniors for Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I first heard his name, and then obviously he was kind of stuck in a filled goalie room with Bobrovsky at the time when he first came in, Korpisalo, Elvis Merzlikins, who was at his funeral, a good friend of Kivilankis, and he said, quote, "He saved me, my wife, and my kids, and he died a hero." So,
that video was straight up heartbreaking, man, because you could tell, just the reaction that Merzlikins' wife had on Instagram and stuff like that, that they were really close. Because, I mean, do you say he was Swiss?
Yeah, I think he was Swiss.
Swiss or Austrian? I don't know. But
one of the two.
It was in that area of Europe. But them two were the only two Austrian or Swiss goaltenders in the whole entire league. They played for the same team, and they're obviously the same age group. So they obviously, knew each other growing up and were close friends. But I saw a lot of heartwarming comments that he made, his last great save when he saved Merzlikins and his whole entire family. His wife has a baby on the way too. So
what a guy!
I know, just went out a hero, and it's just it's tough to have a player like that lose his life so young. But just gotta cherish every day, and don't take stuff for granted, because it can be over in a second. But he's gonna be honored by the whole entire league, and his legacy is gonna live on, because he was obviously a stand-up kid and a role model to a lot of players.
Yeah, so sad.
Yeah. So, with that said, I know that's 2-week-old news, but we just wanted to touch on that and give our 2 cents, because it was one of the bigger stories. But with that said, and probably the biggest headline is the Tampa Bay Lightning are your Stanley Cup champions for 2021.
Back to back.
Yeah, they really struggled for that one.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I know we touched on games 1 through 3 in the last episode 8, but. Game 5 was basically just more of the same. It's just pure dominance from line 1 to 4 from Tampa, and there's just really nothing that it's like Montreal never even had a chance.
Montreal couldn't get anything going the whole series.
Nothing.
It seemed like.
I mean, and obviously ever since they won the Cup, which we'll try and touch a little bit on before we get right into the expansion draft, but a lot of those Montreal Canadiens were playing with injuries. I know Shea Weber, who got the consolation, a lot of his teammates. Was playing with a broken foot and like a collarbone, and he was in bits and pieces.
Banged up.
I mean, he's an old guy. He's been in the league forever, so obviously, you're gonna start to wither down. And he, the whole entire team, him included, gave it their all. So I mean, it's
Carey Price with the hip injury too as well.
I mean, which is getting more common to veteran goaltenders. This hip injury. I know we saw it with Tuukka Rask too, but gonna be. I mean. It's just like so much happened in the last 2 weeks.
We had to get this in.
Cover it all but now it seems like the seams are falling off for the Canadiens.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in a little bit. But, I mean, what a run for them. I think just want to touch on that real quick because, no one gave them a snowball's chance in hell, and they made it all the way to the Cup Finals and stuff like that. And to even win a single game against Tampa was pretty impressive just based off the pure talent they had on that roster.
One of the better Cinderella stories we've seen go through the playoffs like this in a while. So I mean, it was fun to watch them through the first 3 rounds, but then they eventually ran into the Tampa Bay "you're fucked" mobile.
Unstoppable force. So definitely no surprise there.
Pat Maroon's a back-to-back Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, and he ended up putting quite the sizable dent on the Stanley Cup. Just absolutely.
Oh my God!
Put a dent into that thing.
How does it even happen?
Yeah, you spike it on the ground like a football.
Did you bunt like Gronk did with the Lombardi Trophy?
Exactly. I mean, when the Stanley Cup has been in Florida for that long, you just gotta
expect
something's gonna happen.
Bunch of Florida men.
Exactly. I mean, it's just the crowd that it was with, but it's whatever. When you win 3 cups, the Stanley Cup kind of seems a little lackluster.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna, try and win the MVP? He's gonna try and collect more hardware, the big rig?
Might as well at this point. I mean,
Stanley Cups are just coming to him like it's nothing now. So
he's like, there was a couple guys in the NBA that were like that. They would make like 9 straight finals appearances any team they went to. So Pat Maroon's kind of got that. He's got that luck factor, yeah.
He's not even that good either.
He's that guy.
I don't even know what he brings to a team, but
he's a fourth line banger.
Right. So
he's a back-to-back Stanley Cup champion.
Right, and
the big rig.
They had the parade, and obviously the boat parade went as you would expect for a bunch of drunk Russians on a boat in Florida. So just abusing every single reporter that was out there, and pouring beer on the heads of news staff and stuff like that. But
Andrei Vasilevsky wearing the Conn
oh
Smythe
my
as a
God,
hat was one of the best things I've ever seen.
I need to get that framed and signed by him.
Yeah,
one of the funnier hockey photos out there. I know
it was awesome.
All the old guys and all the old timers were pissed about that. But if you win the Stanley Cup, you go through it. It's the hardest trophy to win, and then you're the best player. Do whatever the fuck you want, buddy.
Yeah, seriously.
I couldn't give a shit.
Right?
Throw the thing in the water. You earned it, honestly. So that was a absolute comedic championship parade. But it's content. Fuck,
Yeah,
I like content.
I love it.
Yeah, so that was hilarious, and it seems like it's gonna be the summer of Cooch.
Oh my good lord!
From how he started off, but
he's gonna be on a 2-month bender.
That'll be interesting, and the off season's already in full swing. Things are already going 100 miles per hour, and I don't think they're gonna slow down until preseason starts. So.
No, this is gonna be one of the more wild free agency draft, expansion draft seasons we've ever had.
There's a million headliner free agents, so I think. Just like in, what year is it, 2017, all of NBA changed and all these different players went all over the place. I think it's going to be similar to that, and one of those off seasons that changes a lot of things and a lot of players go to a lot of different places. So strap in, folks, because it's going to be a fucking
buckle up
fiesta. It's going to be a fiesta. But with that said, I just want to look back on this playoff run because, just the sheer entertainment factor that it had. I know we started off quick in the first round with Boston and Washington, Tampa, and the Panthers and stuff like that, and a lot of good headlines there. And then you get into the second round, and you had even better stuff. I just like as a whole, I can't really remember a better playoff run as a whole for all teams.
No, those first 3 rounds were some of the best hockey I've seen in years.
Yeah,
like by a country mile too.
Right.
And I don't know if it had something to do with like getting fans back in the stadium for the first time or just like pure nostalgia just seeing that, but the hockey itself was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's I feel like
pure entertainment.
Excuse me. I feel like we're transitioning back to kind of that high-paced physical style of play that we had in the mid to early 2010s. We got into a little bit of a rut there. It was just speed and skill.
No, I agree with you there. I know that's where the league has been trending towards that kind of style of play, but I don't think it's ever like people talk about fighting being banned and more penalties being called and the enforcer kind of dying out. But I don't think I see it going anywhere because if you look at every single championship-winning team, they always have 2 or 3 of those kind of players, and they're always just going to be there no matter what happens to the game.
Ever since 2018, that Capitals team, that's a team that could play any way you wanted. They could play the skill game or they could play the banging game. The 2019 Blues team was the same thing, and these 2 Tampa teams could do it all.
Right.
And it's great for the sport because now we're meshing that old school physical style of play with this high-paced skill game, and it is beautiful.
Right.
Game's in a great place right now.
Yeah, I know. I fully agree. Well, there was definitely the only downside, in my opinion, to this year was the presence of some officiating calls that kind of swayed the momentum of the game, and I know a lot of coaches came out and talked about that. So that was really the only downfall. I don't think it really
I can agree with that.
Changed the final outcome and who won it. I feel like it was going to be Tampa all along. I know we had both of our rosters that we submitted after the first episode and put up on our Instagram if you want to go back and look at that at Fairweather Fans Podcast. I had Tampa in Vegas. Nobody in the world had Tampa and the Canadians unless they're from
Montreal.
Quebec. Yeah, so I feel like everyone kind of knew Tampa had this one and would have been surprising if they didn't win it, but it was just a great run overall. I just want to talk about that because, I just really can't remember a run in recent memory that was that good. It would have been even better if, if the Bruins made it far, personally. But,
yeah, right.
You have no control over that. Now we're about to have an absolutely fucking bonkers offseason. So.
Yeah, I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, so with
and
that
it's
said,
already started, too. The past, week.
Oh, no, yeah. That's why we got to make it to this quick. We got to start buzzing because we got to touch every single base. But, yeah, just, entertaining stuff. And it was a good playoff run to be able to bounce back from the bubble and all of that stuff that was just totally unnecessary and not that entertaining. So good bounce back, and the future is bright for the game of hockey, and now we have so much more. So we went from having 3 games a night and then a game every night and then a Stanley Cup final game every other night, and now we have the draft and the expansion draft and all that stuff. So just thankful to be able to have this much stuff and have it be in the middle of the summer.
And be able to talk about it, too.
Exactly. So, great time to have a podcast, great time to be a sports fan. So, the future's bright.
Yes, it is. All right, let's get into this expansion draft news.
Yeah, exactly. I think just lightly touch on some things before we get into picking our predictions and picking our players and stuff like that. A lot of expansion news has came out and a lot of speculation, stuff like Vladimir Tarasenko from the St. Louis Blues is basically out the door. Who knows where he's going to go? I know a lot of people think he could go to Seattle, and a lot of people think he can be traded all over the place. I know Like, personally, I think there's been a lot of news surrounding Seattle picking him and then trading him to the Philadelphia Flyers, which I think that would be a great pickup for them, considering they're going to lose a big-time forward in this expansion draft.
I know they left like some good goal scorers exposed, so they're going to lose one of them.
JVR or Voracek.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very similar cap hits. Like Tarasenko, I believe, has a 7.5. JVR has a 7, and Voracek has an 8. So
8.25. Yeah,
you're gonna be sprinkling in like you're just filling a hole basically. But the question is, what do you get? Like, if you were to do this, what are you gonna give Seattle? Because he's kind of banged up.
He's banged up.
He was once great goal scorer. Now he like kind of took a little bit of a step back. Had to deal with injuries. So it's gonna be very interesting to follow this Tarasenko saga, and then. Obviously, probably the biggest news from the expansion draft was Carey fucking
What
Price.
The fuck?
After just leading his team to the Stanley Cup final.
Miraculous. One of the best goaltending performances any playoff run in recent history.
And Montreal's just like, yeah, we're going to protect Jake Allen.
A week afterwards, a week after of being probably the best goalie in the whole entire playoffs, they're like, Seattle, you could take him.
You could have him.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what? We like
If you want him, you can have him. Oh, yeah, for how much? For nothing. Just take him.
Just have him.
If you want him, he's there. So I know that left the whole entire hockey world stunned. And now, if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, your brain's firing on all cylinders.
Right.
I'm seeing some people on Twitter being like, "Oh, it's not that bad." Like if you're like Canadiens fans, like trying to cope by being like they're in denial, like, "Oh, it's not that bad. His contract 10.5, 5 more years till 2025. Like it would be kind of good." And this team's trending in a young direction. But no, deep down,
that's Carey.
The panic button is hit.
That's
your
freaking
guy.
Out. That's your fucking.
That's
guy.
your horse. He's been your horse.
He's been their guy.
In my opinion, as a hockey fan and someone who watches the game very closely, Carey Price is the greatest goaltender of all time.
That's a very solid argument.
You can't just sit there and be like, this is fine. Yeah, it's like the meme of the dog sitting in the burning room being like, this is fine. And it's not. Not at all. If Tuukka Rask was signed for 5 more years and he was as good as Carey Price is right now, and the Bruins left him unprotected, I would find Don Sweeney in the street and beat the shit out of him.
I would have severe anxiety all the way till the expansion draft. I don't even know. I don't even want to think about it. To be honest
imagine having the playoff run of your lifetime as a Canadiens fan, then getting your heart ripped out by a team that was 18 mil over the cap that essentially cheated, and then the next week, the best player in your organization's history is about to be lost for nothing. But we'll talk about that.
Go Habs, go.
Fuck yeah, I don't know. I was looking forward to there being a little bit of Boston Canadiens rivalry again, and hopefully them being good. But if Jake Allen is between the pipes, who fucking knows?
Yeah, right.
But it's the Berger van. He's been on a hot streak, so hopefully he knows what he's doing, and we'll definitely talk more about that because I have a lot to say as we make our picks. But some of the notable players still left unprotected is Gabriel Landeskog,
who is a pending UFA, so they would take him, but then they would have to sign him, or he can just walk to free agency like he could if he just stayed in Colorado. So Colorado's basically not losing anything by not protecting Landeskog. Like they could very well take him.
Personally, no, they absolutely should, and they absolutely could. But I think just if you're Gabriel Landeskog, the amount of times that you've been trade baited and put out in expansion drafts and stuff like that by Colorado, how many times are you going to do that? You're just going to keep letting them disrespect you?
Yeah,
I would be too. I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to go. You guys are trying to send me off somewhere so many times, and I've stayed willingly.
He's your fucking captain.
Exactly. He, if I was him, I'd just be like, okay, let me just go somewhere where I'm appreciated, sign long term, where I can just be for the rest of my career, not be dangled on a fucking rope in front of GMs.
And he literally came out and said he will take a team friendly deal.
Exactly.
To be on a good team.
I would take Gabriel Landeskog and the Bruins.
There's been rumors that he might be coming to the Bruins, and he would be awesome for the Bruins.
I know.
But there's a lot of good teams that could use a Gabriel Landeskog.
Right. We were just supposed to name Gabriel Landeskog and keep going, but the other people, PK Subban, they're not going to take him. He's on a $9 million cap hit. He's not doing that well. They're just trying to get him the fuck out of Jersey.
Like, hey,
Mark Giordano, the captain of the Calgary Flames, who is pretty old, but
he's a 37-year-old defenseman, but he's
won the Norris.
He's got some juice left in the tank.
Yeah, Andre Palat, who I think is one of the bigger fish out there. I'm fucking excited to talk about.
Me too. I can't wait to hear your picks.
I think this is gonna be wicked fun. But yeah, Andre Palat, who, shut up. Andre Palat, who has been a integral part of the Stanley Cup champion team, just being able to put the puck in net in insanely clutch time. So I think he's someone that needs to be on their squad if they have the chance. You have Yanni Gourde. Yanni Gourde?
Yeah, Yanni Gourde's.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to take Yanni Gourde. I think they have to take Palat. But Yanni Gourde's out there who would be just a wicked valuable. I mean, he's
such a valuable
like
piece.
we were just saying, the enforcer has just been a big part of all these championship teams, and he's been probably the best one when it comes to those type of players on Tampa.
He is just such a perfect two-way forward.
Yeah. Kid buzzes, and just his forecheck is lethal. And you have Josh Bailey, who $5 million cap hit. He's pretty good goal scorer. He'd be a good top 6 guy for Seattle and a tough guy for the Islanders to lose, which they seem like they have like so many people that they could lose. Jordan Eberle, they have Kiefer Bellows, they have Josh Bailey, and and Andy Green, a lot of integral pieces. So who knows who they'll take from them? There's it's not slim pickings technically, but you want to go? Yeah,
Jacob Voracek, JVR as well, the combo from Philly. Jason Zucker from Pittsburgh, who they just acquired last year or 2 years ago.
2 years ago,
and he's got like around $5 million cap hit. And the last one, I had to sprinkle this in, Evgeny Dadonov, who signed a 3-year, $5.5 AAV deal last year with Ottawa. So
who they can't take anymore unless they trade for with the signing of Chris Drieger.
Yeah, who knows?
Who
there's
knows?
There's a lot of ways they can go with this. They can go young. They can get the veterans. But this is why we are not the general managers of the Seattle Kraken.
No, I have to get an education first.
And
when it comes to having an NHL front office job.
Yeah. And I also thought we should mention who the Bruins decided to protect. So they went the 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and goalie route.
The right move.
Patrice Bergeron, Charlie Coyle, Jake DeBrusk, Trent Frederick, Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Craig Smith were their 7 forwards. Brandon Carlo, Matt Grzelcyk, Charlie McAvoy, and then Dan Vladar. Obviously, you're not hearing Krejci, you don't hear Hall, and who's the other one? Oh, Nick Ritchie, Andre Kasha, but the Krejci and Hall, you don't need to protect them
the UFAs.
Because they could just walk right to free agency.
Right.
Unless they want to go to Seattle.
I don't know who would.
I don't know why you would do that.
David Krejci is outwardly saying he wants to play for the Bruins or he wants to play in the Czech League, so I don't think Seattle would want to take him because he probably wouldn't sign. And Taylor Hall doesn't want to play for an expansion team. Probably, I don't know.
No, I think he's gonna stay. I've also heard that he's waiting till after the expansion draft, and they have a 4-year deal worth $5.5 million per year.
That's been the consensus. But when you look at guys like Jake DeBrusk being held back, that's confusing for some people. A lot of people got mad. But you have to keep in mind, just because you're keeping a guy doesn't mean he's going to be on the team. You could look to try and trade him for something valuable at some point in the season. That's why you keep guys. It's not always so they can be on your roster, so you can try and get something.
They protected him so they could get something for him instead of just letting him walk. Like, he's still young. He's still going to have
that, or they
value.
still have faith.
Edmonton and Boston have been talking, and Jake DeBrusk has been the centerpiece. So at least you're going to be able to get something for JD if you trade him. But, hey, Trent Frederick got protected too.
Well, yeah, which was a good move. And then the 3 defensemen, obviously, leaves guys like Jeremy Lauzon and Connor Clifton, who I think are the 2 biggest fish to be picked from the Bruins. But, yeah, I mean, if you look at the pool of players that Seattle has to pick for, it's an absolute fire sale. And, I mean, if I'm Ronnie Francis, it's just like you're licking your chops for the amount of players you can pick.
Get the fork and knife out.
I mean, yeah, this is – it must be a little fun, definitely stressful, but just be able to just like pick and choose what players
build
you
your
want
own team. Like,
is going to be sick. So
like every little kid's dream, just build your own team.
Right. So with that said, we can. You want to? Oh well, yeah. Kevin Miller retired, which obviously it's tough to lose for the Bruins because he's that he was the true Bruin, as a lot of people called him.
Yeah, he was a third pair defenseman who would beat the crap out of anybody. Great on the penalty kill, and then. The last thing to touch on the Bruins, Brandon Carlo signed a very team-friendly deal.
Great deal.
$4.1 million per year for the next 6 years, and let's pray he stays healthy.
Yeah.
Because this contract, looking at it, is just mwah.
Especially with the salary cap going up, this is just like, it is. It's chef's kiss by Don Sweeney here. So hopefully it doesn't come back to bite them, and hopefully they can get a little luck and he can stay healthy, which I think he can. Usually with someone as built as him, your injuries kind of come and go, and maybe he's just having a bad stretch of injuries, and hopefully he can string together some years where he stays healthy and has those top 2 pairs shut down years, so to
Yep.
say. So do you want to keep going, or do you want to do this now?
Let's. Well, I just wanted to touch on some of the trades that happened because
Go for it.
So it was called the freeze deadline. You can't sign and trade anybody after 3:00. It was a couple days ago, and there were people going left and right. The first trade happened earlier in the week. It was Duncan Keith, of course, longtime stable of the Blackhawks, and Tim Soderlund heading to Edmonton for Seth Jones' little brother, Caleb Jones, and a third-round pick.
What a fucking trade.
Good for Edmonton.
Great for Edmonton. I mean, that's an absolute fleecing. I know a lot of people who haven't been keeping an eye on the Blackhawks because they've been kind of irrelevant. They probably think Duncan Keith is still the player he was in 2015 and so on, but he's really not. Like he's more than he's like basically a third pairing guy. And so to get a kid like Caleb Jones, their top D prospect, and a third,
and they've been wanting to sign Seth Jones too. And what better way to get his fucking little brother?
Exactly. So, I mean, just a great pickup. No, Stan Bowman, not Ken Holland. My bad. Great pickup for them, and when I first saw this, I was like, oh, like Duncan Keith for Caleb Jones. It's a great pickup for Edmonton. Then I remembered, hey buddy, get your head out of the fucking gutter. Duncan Keith. It's not 6 years ago.
Yeah, we're not in 2015 anymore, unfortunately.
So yeah, I mean, Ken Holland was spending quite a lot of money on Zach Kassian and Duncan Keith. So definitely a lot of unhappy Edmonton fans. Just another L in the column for them. But yeah, keep going.
The Colorado Avalanche traded Ryan Graves to the New Jersey Devils for Maltsev and a 2021 second-round pick. I mean, Colorado needed some cap relief. Ryan Graves is the odd man out. They get a decent little return for him. They get they get a prospect and a second-round pick.
He was like plus 60 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He was like easily, he had the best plus minus in the league and just flew so under the radar that nobody even knew it. And I don't know what it is. Maybe he was just bad in that locker room or maybe they just don't think he's that good. But, I mean, for a kid that led the league in plus minus by like 30, by like plus 30, that's a great pickup. And who knows, maybe Maltsev kind of comes into his own. And they did get a second, but yeah, good cap relief for
that's a young
Avalanche.
New Jersey team that Graves is going to, and he's going to play. I mean, Will Butcher was one of the guys that was left unprotected, so he could easily just slide right into that top four role if he gets taken.
Which, I mean, if I'm Seattle, you should take Will Butcher, but
yeah.
I didn't.
We'll get into that later.
Exactly.
And then we had Richard Panik and a 2021 second-round pick head to the Islanders for Nick Leddy. The Detroit Red Wings are eating half of Panik's salary.
Yep.
And Leddy has a pretty decent little cap hit, but he could still fucking play. I mean, he's a
for
little
sure.
older, and he's going to do, I think, very well on that Detroit team and help those young defensemen develop. And the Islanders just get some much-needed cap relief, which they did a couple hours after that. I mean, I guess I'll just get right into that one now. The legend, Andrew Ladd.
Yeah.
A 2021 second, a conditional 2022 second, and a 2023 conditional third. Head to Arizona.
Where contracts go to die.
For nothing.
For nothing.
The Arizona
Chris Pronger and Marian Hossa.
The Arizona Phantom Zone is what I like to call it.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep doing this.
One of the funniest trade things I've ever seen is just the New York Islanders. No return.
No return.
You got money.
Yeah, you just got money. Which, I mean, it just seems like maybe it's just because the cap's going up and stuff like that. The Islanders having a lot of trouble with their cap, and hopefully they can figure it out. I know Lou, he's a decent GM, so he'll figure it out. He's just moving
pieces around right now.
He's playing chess. So I guess just another dead contract goes to Arizona, and we'll see if Andrew Ladd ever steps on the sheet for them. But
you had Jared McCann go from the Penguins to the Leafs for prospect Philippe Hallander and a 2023 seventh-round pick. I mean, McCann's a good player, and he's unprotected.
I know. I think he could go. I think he could go.
I think he could very well go.
I think this is the Penguins just trying to get something for him, which, I mean, sure, you get a decent prospect, and then you get a seventh-rounder. I don't think he'll ever play a game with Toronto. I just don't think he really fits into their system, and he has 0 goals in 12 playoff games, so who knows if Seattle takes him, but I think he'd be a good piece for Seattle. I don't see him sticking around in Toronto.
All right, I'm going to try and bang the rest of these out because I want to get into these picks. So here we go. We got Jason Dickinson from Dallas to Vancouver for a 2021 third. We had Barclay Goodrow, his negotiating rights head to New York for a 2022 seventh. He would actually sign an extension a couple hours ago, 3.6 AAV for the next 6 years. That's a great-looking contract.
Absolutely great contract.
Brett Howden used to have potential with the Rangers, kind of turned into like a fourth-line banger, heading to Vegas for Nick DeSimone, and then, of course, I thought this was one of the bigger ones. Aiden Hill heads to San Jose for Joseph Coronar in a 2022 second-round pick. I mean,
incredibly underrated.
You were talking some
I'm a big
high
fan of
horse stuff about Aiden Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I know they had Darcy Kemper and stuff like that, but Aiden Hill is one of those kids that has a high ceiling, and this is just a low-risk pickup, honestly, if you're San Jose, and hopefully if you put a good defense in front of him, he can perform. But, yeah, I'm a big fan of the way this kid plays, and I think that's a good move for San Jose.
And then Miro Heiskanen signed an 8-year deal worth $8.5.
Get that bag, Miro.
He got paid, and I got sonked trying to post that on the Instagram because
you posted on the personal Instagram. Yeah.
Speaking of sonk, Keith Yandel got bought out by the Florida Panthers. Thank you, Keith. Who knows where he'll end up? And then
TYFYS.
Our final piece of news is the NHL will incorporate a Olympic break into the 2022 NHL season.
I had no fucking idea about this. When did this happen? Today?
This was a couple hours ago today. Yeah. So they're going to create that break. They don't know if they're going to let the players go just yet, but if they're going to do that, it sounds like the talks are in the right direction to have NHL guys go back to the Olympics.
Exactly. If you're going to have a break, then the trend and the most likely result is that they're going to be able to play. You don't have a break and you don't let the players play, you know what I mean? And obviously everyone wants to play. So this is the work of Bill Daly. I know he's been working hard at deputy commissioner. So, I mean, if they can just keep making steps in the right direction and find a common ground with the IHF and the Olympic Committee, then bingo, we're there. So this is a great sign.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, let's fucking go, baby.
All right.
Let's go. So basically what we're going to do probably in the next hour or so is we're going to go through and we're just going to kind of do a mock draft for the expansion draft and make our own teams and try and figure out what would be the best fit for Seattle and maybe try and get some picks right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe one of us will draft a perfect team, but yeah, we're basically just going to use the cap-friendly mock draft simulation and you know pick these teams and give a little 2 cents and try not to spend too much time on each pick, but yeah, we're just, you know, it's the expansion draft episode. We're going to do the expansion draft. So
let's do that expansion draft.
But let's do that expansion draft. So, starting off with the Anaheim Ducks, I know they have some notable guys left unprotected, like Kevin Shattenkirk, Hayden Fleury, Adam Henry, Getzlov, Danton Heinen. So, do you want to go first with Anaheim?
Yeah. So I actually picked a guy that you didn't mention. I went with defenseman Brendan Gooley.
Okay.
And he's a left-shot defenseman. Really hasn't got the chance to play in the NHL just yet. He's still a young guy. He's got a lot of potential, and I think. I'm thinking back to what Vegas did. They took a lot of those guys that were young and they, you know, didn't really get a lot of playing time.
Right.
But Gooley has always flashed potential, in my opinion. So I went with defenseman
agree.
Brendan Gooley.
That's a good pick. I mean, he's 23 years old, left shot D, so definitely can't go wrong there. But I went a different route. I went the forward route, which is, I mean, if you've been on Twitter at all, this is kind of the popular pick for Alexander Volkov. I mean, you know, not much to offer from the Ducks when you look at it from a grand scheme. I think it's like, you know, he's a young player, you know, high ceiling, kind of low risk, but when you have to manage the cap and kind of figure out, you know, what players you want, Volkov, he's 23, he's a left wing with a 700K cap hit, so I think it's low risk, but I think he could blossom into his own and, you know, really be a solid bottom six player for Seattle. So I went with Alexander Volkov as with my first pick. So
alrighty.
Moving on to the Arizona Coyotes. All you, buddy.
All right.
All you.
With the Coyotes pick, I decided to go with forward Christian Fisher.
There you go.
Arizona didn't really have a lot to offer. Antti Ranta was there, but I don't think you want to spend that much on a goaltender. And Christian Fisher has just always been one of those solid guys on your roster that could play second line, could play your third line, just a middle six. Could put the puck in the back of the net, could back check, forward check, pay check. I went with Christian Fisher.
I totally agree. I picked him as well. In my notes, I said he's a good bottom six player with upside. He's not too old. You know, he's only 24 years old, the right winger, and he's a mill cap hit. So I think he's definitely showing some signs of coming into his own as a player, and I think Seattle is a great chance for him to kind of, you know, just tap into his potential. So yeah, I went with Christian Fisher as well. Moving on to the hometown team, your Boston Bruins.
All right, from the Boston Bruins, I decided to select Nick Ritchie.
What?
I went with Nick Ritchie.
I think this is just what you want to happen.
No, I think they're going to take either Nick Ritchie or Andre Kasha.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see them taking Lazon or Clifton.
Really?
I don't think it's going to be the defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to say anything about Nick Ritchie? Or?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, this is probably one of the best seasons he's had in the NHL, and he really showed what he can do in terms of, playing the body and being able to be a net front power play guy. So
7th man award.
Yeah, won the 7th player for the Boston Bruins, and I think you give him a good team like the Seattle Kraken will have. Hopefully, you get him some second line playing time. I think it'll be a good pick. I think he could pot 20 a year for you in an 82-game season
for sure. And he's great on the power play. I know when you're on a power play with guys like Pasternak, Brad Marchand, and Patrice Bergeron, it's hard to really stand out. But he's just a great net front presence that could be good for any team. But personally, I know if you couldn't fucking tell from my reaction, I chose Connor Clifton. I think we've seen it all from the kid. He's just a huge, big time player, really underrated. He's only 26 years old, and he could be a solid second pair. Like I think his ceiling is second line player for sure. But he's a sick contract. He's sitting there. 26 years old. He can play both sides of the D, and he's only a mil cap hit. So I
definitely think it could be Clifton too.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would like it to be anybody but Clifton.
Yeah.
But if you're Ron Francis, I don't think you can pass this kid up. I mean, maybe there is some risk that maybe he wouldn't play in the Seattle system as well as he does for Boston, because I know when he slots in there, he's got a howitzer of a shot. We've talked about it before. He's just a big time player in the playoffs. He's kind of mundane when it gets to regular season, but if you're looking for a guy who can perform in the big moments and can really bring it, I think Connor Clifton is a guy you would have to take. So that's who I took. Really hoping it doesn't happen. Hopefully he stays a Bruin. But we'll see. We don't get to make the decisions. But moving on to the Buffalo Sabres.
This pick sucked.
Sucks. Do you want to just say it? Who'd you take?
I went with Cody Eakin.
I went with Toby Reeder. I just said minors player for sake of cap.
Yeah, Cody Eakin's like a $2.5 million
drafted by
guy.
Vegas.
Yeah,
and it worked out for them. So
why not?
I think that might be the safer pick. But I took Toby Reeder just because he's sitting there with a $700K cap hit. He's 28. He's a right wing. Maybe he could have some playing time as a fourth liner, but I don't really see it. But you have to take some guys just sake of cap. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But with that said, we move on to the Calgary Flames. This is where stuff gets a little interesting.
I was gonna say my pick's very interesting.
Yeah. Did you go with the same guy I did, or?
I went goaltender here.
Oh!
I went Tyler Parsons.
Okay! That's a fucking great pick, honestly. But
young goalie, still hasn't got the chance to play in the NHL.
I know.
And, this guy's Tim Thomas.
Oh, no, I know.
This guy is Tim Thomas.
If you watch the 2017 World Junior Classic with the team that we've talked about plenty of times, it's my favorite World Junior Classic. One of my favorite hockey games of all time was Canada and U.S. You have guys like Jordan Greenway, Charlie McAvoy, Kiefer Bellows. On the other side, you guys like Carter Hart. Dylan Strome.
Jeremy Lauzon.
Yeah, Jeremy Lauzon scored a goal. Matthew Joseph. I mean, those two teams were just stacked, but the best player was easily Tyler Parsons.
And he was Tim Thomas. He played like Tim Thomas.
Exactly.
And I think he'll be a good pick for them. Young goaltender, you could develop him in your system, and even if he gets good and you have a full goaltender room, you could trade him to another team for assets.
Precisely.
Asset management.
Precisely.
That's what I tried to do a little bit, just asset management.
Right.
Stuff, pieces that you can move around to get more pieces. So
yeah, I bet. I know Vegas went the route of sticking with their expansion draft players, but personally, I think that the team that they draft isn't exactly who they're going to be in say 12 months. So I think they're going to be making a lot of moves. So yeah, that's a good pick. But personally, I went even bigger. I went with Mark Giordano.
There you go.
Yeah, I had to.
There's the first big fish.
Yeah, he's probably one of my bigger fish. He'd probably be the captain of this team, but I saw it as a term of setting the culture for this organization. They don't really have any foundations led, so when you get a veteran guy who's won a Norris Trophy and kind of been the captain of Calgary forever, and they're kind of a declining team, so I don't think he'd really hate it. I know he's a little bit old, currently sitting at 37 years old, but 6.7 isn't horrible. So
you can work around
if
that.
If you can get a guy in the locker room who can really be the leader and kind of set the culture for the team and set a winning culture, to be more specific, I think Giordano could be that guy. So
he is that guy.
If I'm Ron Francis, that's who I'm taking. But yeah, that's all I have for Calgary.
Wow, what a good start to that one, huh?
I know.
That got me fired up.
Right. All right, and moving on to the Carolina Hurricanes. Do you want to switch? Do you want me to go
go
first
ahead.
now? So I went with another big fish, Douglas Hamilton.
Ooh.
I personally think he's a top defenseman in the NHL. I think he's probably number 5. Probably I even say better than Charlie McAvoy, but he's just keeps developing. He's a really young player. He's only 28 years old. I don't see how you can not take him. He's 5.75.
Well, that's a guy you're going to have to sign. He's a pending free agent. So.
I know. And I think just because of how much he's moved around, he wouldn't be opposed to it. So,
and Seattle could definitely pay him. They got $82 million in cap
exactly.
space.
Yeah. If they can get him to sign the term, I think that's a fantastic pick, and he can be their top offensive defenseman and maybe a pair with Marciano. But yeah, he's only 28. I think this is an absolute no-brainer for Carolina.
All right. I went different route, but same position. I went with young defenseman Jake Bean.
Yep.
Power play quarterback. Once again, a guy that has kind of got stuck in that Carolina system where that defensive core is just loaded up top to bottom, kind of on the outside looking in.
Exactly.
And I think you give him a shot on the Seattle team and you let him power play your quarterback. Quarterback
Quarterback or power play, folks. Don't power play your quarterback.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I mean, he's 8'6".
I think I'll leave it at that. Jake Bean.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys that in NHL GM mode, he's one of those guys that develops into a stud for your team in NHL. But, yeah, I think that's a good pick. I mean, 8'6", cap hit, not bad at all. Obviously, he's an RFA, but he's only 23 years old. So I feel like that's a guy that Carolina would hate to lose. So, yeah, that's a smart pick to quarterback your power play.
And I was going to say a friendly reminder
to
absolutely not.
Quarterback your power play.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't power play your quarterback. He won't like that.
Your QB won't like that.
So moving on to Chi-Town, the Windy City Blackhawks. I personally went with the another popular pick that a lot of people had in their mock drafts was Colin Delia, 27-year-old goaltender, $1 million cap hit. I think if you're looking for your backup, to Chris Driedger or a third string, the Carey Price song. I think he could do that. In my opinion, he'd be a good third string and maybe even a good AHL starter that could develop into something good. Low mil cap hit. It's real nice, and Chicago doesn't really have a lot to offer, so I think this is the safe pick, honestly.
All right, I went a different route. I went with forward Adam Gaudette, former Northeastern Husky.
That's a great one.
He's a young kid. Got stuck in Vancouver as kind of a bottom six guy. Chicago gave him the chance a little bit to play on the third line, and he definitely flashed what he can do. And I think
a lot of potential.
If you give him this chance on this Kraken team, he's just going to blossom.
Right. I mean,
I went with
a lot of these guys that we've been picking have high ceilings and really low risk. But I mean, it could blow up in your face. I know it hasn't worked for him in a couple places, but yeah, I mean, these are just a lot of guys that could turn into studs and really find their game. So yeah, I like that pick a lot. So moving on to the Colorado Avalanche. They put quite a lot of forwards up there, but I personally went with the 29-year-old right winger. Jonas Donskoy.
Yep, I did too.
Yeah, there you go. 3.9 mil cap hit. I know this is one of those guys it's perfect for the role that Seattle needs, that middle six right winger that can produce points, because ever since he sprouted into the player that he is with the San Jose Sharks, he's been balling out. So
just a really solid player.
Exactly. He signed until 2023, which isn't bad, but I think he's a solid foundation for that middle six and get some depth scoring. So yeah, I think he's always put up numbers, so it's a safe pick.
Columbus Blue Jackets.
No, you don't have anything to say about
Donskoy? No, you hit the nail on the head.
There you go.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Just a really solid player.
I wasn't loving what Columbus was offering here, so I just went with 31-year-old depth defenseman Michael Del Zotto. Personally, I just couldn't take Max Domi to save my fucking life. I just don't think he's a good player. I think he's suffered on every single team he's been on and really hasn't turned into that top six center that everyone wants him to be. I know he's only 26, but for 5.3, I don't think he's worth that. So I just took the cap hit player with Michael Del Zotto.
I went with Max Domi.
I figured everyone is.
I think you got to give this kid a chance.
I'm not buying what he's selling. I never have been.
He's shown it, but he's just never been able to put it all together.
He's not consistent.
He's just never been able to put it all together.
So,
I think
sound like he's going to put it all together in Seattle.
I think he can. I think a lot of these guys that I have picked are. There's not a lot of just solid stud players. There's just guys that have this high ceiling, and you're betting on them to be great.
Yeah, fucking.
So Max Domi, his cap hits, I guess it's manageable. It's not great at $5 million, but it's manageable. You can move that contract around, but I think you got to give him a chance. Once again, Columbus didn't really have much to offer.
No.
So I just said, you know what? I'll give Max Domi the try here.
Yeah, I mean, to elaborate on my opinion on it, I just think if you need a top two center there's safer bets out there that you can sign or trade for than Max Domi for $5.3 million. But maybe it helps them out. I honestly don't think they'll take them. I don't think they should. But who knows? Maybe Ron Francis sees something that I don't.
I'm gonna add this in. This is just us taking players. I don't know if you remember in the Vegas expansion draft. Teams would literally give them draft picks and players to take a certain
player.
So these won't be 100% correct. You're going to see deals like that happen. So
not every single player is actually going there. This is just our opinion and what we think will benefit them the most as a team. But with that said, we move on to the Dallas Stars. I personally picked 35-year-old left winger, $2.4 million cap hit, Blake Como. I know he's been, last year in the bubble, he was an integral piece in their run and being a middle six kind of fourth line kind of player, but he's gritty. He can get to the front of the net and stuff like that. He isn't scared to get physical. And I think he's one of those guys that could really help this team. But yeah.
So when I did
kind of a mundane pick.
Yeah. So when I did this, I had realized that I had only 8 out of the 9 defensemen you're supposed to take. So
okay.
And I needed a right shot defenseman. I just decided to go with Sami Vatanen.
That's not a bad pick at all.
Another guy that could play on your power play.
$2 million cap hit. That's not bad at all.
Which is not bad. He's a pending UFA. He is one of the 2 that I had, but they're just a solid guy.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've been the way I see it with these players who are pending UFAs, who've been on a lot of teams, at one point you want to settle down with one organization, and who knows, Sami Vatanen's one of those guys, so he might just want.
He needs a home. He's been kind of bouncing around a little bit ever since he left Anaheim. So
I agree. So yeah, that's not a horrible pick. So moving on to the Detroit Red Wings, I went with 28-year-old right winger Vladislav Nemesnikov.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, my reason for picking this is just because of the upside he has. Obviously, in Tampa, he was a good player and could play that middle six and play the winger and score because he has some good skill. But now he's just on a bad team, so it doesn't really seem like he's giving it 100%. I think when you look at the comparison to Vegas, he could be like your Carlson and just really just prove how much potential you have goal scoring, and he could just have one of those years where he could put up 30 goals.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Be that pure sniper that they need. So it's low risk. He only has a $2 million cap hit. So I mean, it's Detroit. How many good choices are there?
Right. So. Yeah. So I went the defenseman route. I went with defenseman Troy Stetcher, a guy that just signed in Detroit and actually had a pretty solid season for himself.
Oh yeah.
And he was not bad in Vancouver. That's the
not
thing.
At all.
Just got stuck on that right side, like outside looking in. So I think Troy Stetcher's a good pick here. I also like Nemestikov too. I think you can go either way, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Another really, rather shitty team that didn't really have much to offer, the Edmonton Oilers. You want to start off with this one?
Yeah, so I went with the probably their biggest one. I went with Oscar Klefbom.
Gotcha.
I went with the Klefbom. He's always been just a solid top 4 guy. I think he's got a 4.5, 4.75 cap hit right in that range. He's got some
4.167.
Yeah, 4.167. He was kind of looking to get moved. Edmonton was looking to move him. I think if you're the Seattle Kraken, you want this guy, depending if you have Mark Giordano or not, you want him to be your 1 or 2 left side defenseman.
I agree 100%, but I went the forward route. I feel like whenever I pick a forward, you pick a defenseman.
Yeah, I know. This is nice.
I went with 26-year-old left winger Dominic Cahoon, signed to a 9.75 cap hit. Not bad at all. I feel like he's been on some teams where he's kind of been the glue guy on the 3rd line or maybe on the 4th line, but he's just a high-energy player that could find his potential in Seattle. I thought it was the safe bet. So, yeah, I went with Dominic Cahoon.
Florida Panthers.
Did we pick the same guy here?
Did we pick him? Did we both pick him?
I mean, he's already signed.
We both picked Chris Drieger.
Yeah, I picked Chris Drieger. My notes, I just put solid goaltender and potential to be a stud. I know he had some good games in Florida. I think it's a safe bet here.
And I know Seattle clearly believes in him because they've already signed. They're already going to sign him to a 3-year extension. So
3-year extension at $10 million, which we were talking about on the way down here.
That's a backup contract.
So
who knows?
That's not starter money. That's not starter money, folks. Not at all. Who are they giving this money to?
Who's gonna?
I think I know a guy that could play goaltender.
I think you might have taken him too.
You think so?
I think
I wouldn't tell you. I wouldn't tell you.
I think you might have taken him. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's all I really have on Chris Drieger. I know he's already picked and he's on that squad now. The first official NHL player to be on the squad. So yeah, that's who I went with. But moving on to the LA Kings, I'm interested to see who you pick here.
All right. So when I looked at this, I didn't really see much. I kind of just went like a throwaway pick. I went with Blake Lizotte.
Nice.
Kind of young.
Yep.
He's going to be like a fringe, healthy scratch guy.
Exactly.
Gets injured. You put him in the lineup.
I'm a fan of the way he plays, and that's why I picked him too. He's only 23 years old and 9.25. Every single time I've seen the Kings play, he just plays hard.
He's a good playmaker.
Yeah,
he's a really good playmaker.
He's a solid player, and he can get to the middle of the ice to the slot and make some plays. I know he's a decent sized guy, and he's only 23 years old. So who knows? Maybe his potential is yet to be tapped in. So yeah, I feel like that's a great pick, and with the options that LA's giving them, it's not much. You could go with guys like Martin Ferk,
who's got one of the hardest slap shots
exactly ever. Yeah, I mean he's a goal scorer if he can hit the net, and maybe that could work out. But I think when you look at low risk guys who can be a part of your depth, I know at this point of picking my team, I didn't have my bottom six was ass. It was ass.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to pick up some fourth line guys, and Blake Lizotte is fringe, just a depth forward. I don't know if he's making my potential final lineup, but yeah, I think that's the pick for LA. Moving on to Minnesota Wild. Obviously, once again, not that many great picks for a team that had a good year.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, this was a pretty, just an average team.
Yeah.
And,
did you pick Matt Bartkowski? Because I did.
The stud?
I didn't.
Matt Bartkowski?
No shot.
I went with Nick Bukestad.
Yep.
Power forward. Another solid player.
Exactly. I went with one of my favorite dark horses in the league. I went with goaltender, 24 years old, Capo Kakinen.
That's a good pick.
The kid had a stellar year this year. So I think when you look at terms of guys like Chris Drieger and Chris Dealer, who are already on my squad,
yeah,
I think he could be the best one. He's at 7.25, only 24 years old, played pretty stellar with the Wild. I don't know how you couldn't pick him, honestly, because I think he has the highest potential out of any of these goaltenders personally. So,
we both have two goalies, so there's only one goaltender left here.
I have three goalies.
You already picked all three?
Yeah.
Who did you take? You took
Chris Delia, Chris Drieger, Capo Kakinen.
Oh boy.
I'm not picking. I wasn't gonna pick him.
And it's next too.
It is next. So, with that said, we move on to the Montreal Canadiens.
All right, here comes a curveball. I took Jonathan Drouin.
Oh, pussy!
I went with Drouin.
Yeah, no, I didn't go with Carey Price either. I mean, what do you like about Jonathan Drouin?
Well, the way I see it, the way I looked at it, he just left. To be honest with you.
Yeah, the kid had an off year.
Yeah, and then he just stopped playing. He left on a medical leave or just a leave of absence. And honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen with Drouin. I really don't. This is just my opinion. I think maybe a new team can entice him a little bit. I hope whatever he's dealing with right now, I hope he can figure it out.
100%.
When he's going, he goes. He's a good player. And
he
could be an 80, 90-point guy if you really get him going.
I mean, this is a guy that you traded for Mikhail Sergachev, who's not won 2 Stanley Cups and was your top defensive prospect. And you really just haven't gotten what you've wanted to, which, it's not your fault. I know he's had some, kind of development issues, a lot of injuries. So, and maybe, possibly, I don't want to make assumptions, but mental health problems, that's the reason he's taking a leave of absence right now. But if you can get him back going, which probably won't take that much. He's a great goal scorer. Obviously, he was drafted, 3rd overall?
Yeah, he's always been a gifted player.
Yeah, so maybe he's only 26 years old, too, so still a lot of time.
And the cap hit isn't bad either.
Not at all, so I think that's a safe bet. I personally went with the defenseman route with a left-handed defenseman. Brett Kulak, he's 27 years old.
The Gulag, as you call him.
Brett Gulag. So I went with him just to strengthen up my defensive core, honestly. I think they make some moves to strengthen their D-core maybe during the season, but I think he's a solid third pair guy that you really can't go wrong. He's $1.85 mil player. He's 27 years old, a UFA in 2022 that you'll have to figure out. But I know a lot of people were hoping they're going to take Carey Price, but honestly,
I'm kind of concerned about his hip.
Yeah,
that's a big concern, especially at $10 million.
Yeah, so I want them to take Carey Price. I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be an interesting move. I mean, I would take Carey Price if I was them, but I just can't see it happening, especially just because, I mean, I don't know if you heard what his wife said, but his wife came out and was like, don't worry, Canadiens fans, everything will make sense in a little bit.
Yeah, like,
so what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean?
Cryptic fucking message.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
I think that has to have, some significance behind it. Maybe they're just trying to get some of his cap taken off, and they already took Drieger.
Yeah.
But that's, like we said, that's not starter money. You don't pay your starter $3 million. So I guess we'll have to see. Obviously, that would just absolutely turn the hockey world off its axis, and that would be crazy. But I personally didn't take him just for the sake of cap. Obviously, you want to have some cap left over if you're the Kraken with all of the UFAs that are in the pool. So, yeah, I went Brett Kulak. But, yeah, we'll see. Maybe they do take Carey. And
who knows?
Maybe,
that'd be crazy.
Yeah, maybe Montreal burns down. Yeah, with that said,
Lebu.
Obviously the most interesting unprotected list from any team was Montreal, just with the NMC wave from Carey Price. And fuck it. I mean, we'll see what Ronnie Francis does, because he's going to have to put all his chips in if he wants Carey Price. So with that said, we move on to the Nashville Predators, who also had a kind of stacked unprotected list. So I'll let you start off this one.
I will let you go, because
You'll let me go?
I think I completely skipped Nashville.
You did?
On my list. Did I?
Oh.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay, well, I personally went with my 1C. Matt Duchene, 30-year-old, has an $8 million cap hit. I expect him
I know who I picked.
to be the first-line center for them, kind of who I'm giving most of the cap to if I'm Ronnie Francis. I think he's a solid pick. Obviously, I think he likes it in Nashville, but him going to an expansion draft team and kind of starting over and trying to get back to the player he was with teams like Ottawa and teams like Nashville might benefit him, and it's kind of confusing the direction Nashville is going in. So we'll see if they pick Matt Duchene. They could pick Ryan Johansson or Mikael Granlund. There's a lot to pick from here. This is kind of a stud-starred lineup for Nashville. So that's who I'm going with Matt Duchene.
And I went the other guy. I went with Ryan Johansson.
Mm-hmm. Also a good pick.
Another guy that
younger.
If you put him on this Kraken team as your one,
right?
Can he get back to where he was?
Exactly.
These are two guys with both high cap hits that it's kind of like an either or. Do you go with the older Duchene, who's probably got, I'd say, more potential to get back to his old ways than Johansson? But
fucking right.
I like Johansson's age with the $8 million cap hit. So
exactly.
I went with Ryan Johansson.
I mean, both of them. Duchene's signed till 2026. Johansson's signed till 2025, both at $8 million, and Ryan Johansson is 2 years younger. It's probably just a case of who do you think could get back to their former self more.
Yeah.
Which you think it's Johansson, I think it's Duchene, but we'll see. I think they pick one of those two guys. I don't know who else you would pick, but yeah, that's who I'm going with. So with that, that's all we have for Nashville. Move on to New Jersey. I started off picking 26-year-old left winger, $3.4 million cap hit, Andreas Janssen, probably to play on the second line. I think he's a guy that played relatively well in Toronto, just really hasn't found his full potential, but he's definitely a middle six winger if you ask me, and I think he's just the kind of player that Seattle needs, because I mean they're going to need scoring if they want to compete. Obviously that's the name of the game. Put
Guy's
the puck in
got
the net.
fucking wheels.
Yeah, and he has the highest cap hit out of any Jersey forward, but it's only $3.4 million. If you can get a guy who can kind of evolve as a player for $3.4 million and be a top two line guy, then why not take him? So he's only 26 years old. That's I think it's the clear pick. But let's hear who you have.
So I went defenseman. I went with Will Butcher.
Okay.
And this is a guy that came out right out of the gates, had some really good seasons, and then all of a sudden it just kind of declined a little bit and kept declining. So I think you give this kid a chance. He could probably be my 1 or my 2 with Clefbaum.
For sure.
He could do it all. He could play penalty kill. He could play power play if you really want to. And I think you give him a chance on a new Kraken team. I think he'll flourish again.
No, I know. Yeah, his rookie year was stellar. I mean, he's 26, but when he first came in this league, he was kind of ready to go. He was ready to roll, and he proved it to everybody. So I think a new start for him on a probably a better team than Jersey next year, if you ask me. Just the way things are shaping up with how many options they have, I think it's a smart pick. But yeah, I think you could go either way. But yeah, definitely varying options for me and you. So with that said, we move on to the New York Islanders. I went with probably one of the weirder picks. I know they have a lot to offer, and guys like Casey Cizikas, Josh Bailey, Jordan Eberle, Travis Zajac, even Kyle Palmieri. But I went with 23-year-old center Kiefer Bellows at a 894K cap hit. This is a kid that had a lot of potential coming in, but he just hasn't fit into this lineup. But he's obviously skilled. He's shown it time and time again. So I think if he gets into a system where he can flourish that isn't the Islanders, I think he can
let him play.
He can finally establish his NHL career, and I think When you look at his cap hit, and he's an RFA, so I don't think this is. I think it's very low risk, high reward.
I think Seattle's definitely going to take Kiefer Bellows.
Has to,
like,
right?
You got to give this kid a chance to play.
Yeah, I know.
He's shown it too when he has played. That's the thing.
Exactly. He's got a killer shot. He was sick in development camp and in college and stuff like that. So I think I know there's a lot of guys that if you want to win now, you pick them. But I think this is a smart pick, honestly, if you ask me. So I think Kiefer Bellows is the pick for them, but we'll see where they go with that one. So next up, we got the New York Rangers.
Across the pond.
Yeah, I mean, just definitely not a lot to offer. Kind of some low-key players. You have guys like Barkley Goodrew, who just got locked up, so they probably won't take him. You could take Colin Blackwell. That would probably be a smart pick, but I went with just a throwaway player at $700K left wing, Phil DiGiuseppe. 27 years old. He's just one of those players just to eliminate cap. Probably won't play. If you look at the Vegas expansion list, the guys that a lot of the guys they
there's a lot of weird picks.
Never played for their team at all. Never even stepped on the sheet. So I think this is one of those guys, and just eat cap because you got to take someone for someone. You got to take someone from someone is what I'm trying to say. So I think he's just another guy that goes down into the AHL system and
just a throwaway pick.
Yeah,
they're gonna happen.
Pick. Yeah, who'd you take?
I went with the hometown kid. I went with Blackwell.
Yeah,
and I mean, what a season he had.
Exactly.
After being stuck in the minors in Milwaukee and then
for sure
barely getting playing time in Nashville, he goes to the Rangers. Finally gets some playing time.
Exactly, St. John's prep kid.
St. John's prep kid, right down the street from me. Yeah, I mean, what a season he had, and I think let him continue to play. Especially on this team too.
Oh no, for sure. But I mean, if you ask me, I think this is one of the candidates for guys that teams could throw picks to not take.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I know New York Rangers have a plethora and barrage of draft picks. So if they can throw him like a fourth to not take him and take a guy like DiGiuseppe, I think that'd be the right move for Chris Drury. So New York Rangers.
Did you say Chris Drury?
Is it Chris Drury? It is Chris Drury.
Is there GM Chris Drury?
Yes. Don't make me look like a fucking idiot.
I'm sorry. All right.
Rangers GM.
James Dolan, I'm kidding.
It is Chris Drury.
All right, it is Chris Drury.
There you go. So, I think that'd be the right move for New York Rangers GM Chris Drury. Hockey podcast.
Quarterback power play.
With that said, we move on to another kind of irrelevant list of players, the Ottawa Senators. I'll let you start off with this one.
I went with forward Chris Tierney, a guy who was in San Jose.
Yep.
Definitely had potential, just kind of never really fit in, just stuck on the third line, goes to Ottawa, same thing. He's just kind of hanging around, honestly, and I think let's throw him into this lineup and let's make him third line center or a winger on the second line and just let him just kill penalties because he's a great defensive forward as well.
Yeah, but I mean a 3.5 cap hit. I think that's the first one I kind of disagree with, honestly, just because I think he's 27 years old. My guess is he already hit his ceiling in San Jose, but
it was either that or just like a waste pick.
That's what I went with.
I figured I'd just take a player here.
Vitaly Abramov, the 23-year-old winger who's shown some promise with Seattle, but only signed for $730,000. So
he was a part of the Duchesne trade, actually.
Yeah, so I could see maybe it's low risk. Not high reward, but medium reward. It's not a risky pick.
Maybe he could just be in your lineup.
Exactly.
That's probably the ceiling. Is just get in the lineup.
Right. If you can get in the lineup and contribute in some way, I think he's one of those guys. And on a list of players that doesn't really have a lot to offer with Ottawa, I think Abramov is the safest pick. But with that, so we move on to the Philadelphia Flyers, who, in my opinion, have probably the biggest amount of what the fuck am I trying to say here? They have the best options.
Yeah, they have a plethora. They have
a plethora and barrage of good options. So, personally, I feel like most people are going to go either one of two people, JVR or Jake Voracek. Obviously, I was thinking about taking Justin Braun or Shane Gostisbehere, but I don't know.
I think maybe
Justin Braun's 34 years old, but
yeah,
I personally went with the 31-year-old right winger, Jacob Voracek. Honestly, this was a moral dilemma when I was picking this team. I was fucking sweating down my forehead. I couldn't.
Were you in cap hell at this point?
No. This is one of the first picks that no. It was I saved this to the last minute. I think this is the last pick I made just so I could figure out if I had enough money, how much cap I wanted to have left. But Jake Voracek, 31 years old, younger than JVR.
Mm-hmm.
Ask 99% of people who's older. I think most people will say
Voracek
easily, but that's not the case. I mean, 8.25 is a hefty cap hit, but he signed an extra year more than Van Riemsdyk, 2024 free agent, where Van Riemsdyk is 23. I think he's just a guy that can play top two lines. He's been a scoring machine his whole entire life.
He's just an offensive threat.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's one of those guys that you have to have at least one of them on your team, and I think he's the perfect fit for them. So that's one of the biggest players I signed.
All right, so with Philadelphia, I was looking through my team, and I was saying to myself, what do I need right now? Because I'm getting close to the end, and I needed a goal scorer. So I went with James Van Riemsdyk.
No, yeah.
Very similar in age. I know Voracek makes a little more. JVR's a little bit older, but JVR's a goal scorer. And he's a guy that was not afraid to get to the front of the net, too.
Oh, for sure.
I think you could play him, your line one left wing.
Exactly. I think
run a power play through him, too.
You could put either guys on the top line here. I think in my projected lineup, I have Voracek first line, but I'll talk about that later. But you look at the Flyers, they protect Nick Aube-Kubel over James Van Riemsdyk, which I think that's a blatant move. Hey, please take this guy. We don't want the $7 million cap hit.
Yeah.
He's 32 years of age. I mean, obviously, he's a staple there. He's played there for a while, considering that's where he started his career, but maybe it's just time for him to go and get a fresh start. But if I'm Ron Francis, I'm taking Jacob Voracek. But, yeah, it just seems like Philly has had enough of these two players. They're looking to slot in some younger guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's Philadelphia Flyers for you. That's the Philadelphia Flyers for you. Fucking hell.
Have a tongue twister.
Mommy made me mash my M&Ms.
Power play quarterback.
All
right, Pittsburgh Penguins?
Yes, Pittsburgh Penguins. I think this is one of my favorite picks. I think it's a real dark horse. You have guys like Jason Zucker who are expected to get picked, and maybe even Brandon Tanev or Marcus Pettersson. But I went with the 26-year-old left wing / center, Zach Aston-Reese. I think he's the ideal, fourth line center for the team. I think just the way he plays defensively and stuff like that, he's one of the more underrated defensive forwards. For him to kind of headline that fourth line for the Seattle Kraken at a $1 million cap hit, I think it's the perfect fit for them. So I went with him, honestly, just because I feel like he's really underrated defensively, and picking all these goal scorers and stuff like that, you're going to need defensive players to defend in your own zone and be that shutdown line. I think a guy like Zach Aston-Reese can pair with guys like Blake Lizotte and even Blake Como and just set that physical defensive presence. So yeah, who'd you pick?
I went defenseman. I went Marcus Pettersson. I really liked what I saw from this guy this year when the Bees played the Pittsburgh Penguins. Very good two-way defenseman. Kind of do whatever you want. He's great at getting the puck out too. Yeah. And I think that's one of the guys you need on a team like this. So he's actually, what is he, 26, 27?
He's 25.
He's 25.
$4 million cap hit, and he's signed until 2025.
I like that contract.
No, yeah. I mean, I picked Zach Aston-Reese just based off how much depth forward I have, which was fucking zilch at this point. So I had to pick someone to be the depth guys. Obviously wanted to pick Marcus Pettersson, but at this point, I feel like Zach Aston-Reese was the best pick for what I was trying to build. But I think that's who they should pick, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's a safer pick. But yeah, moving on to the San Jose Sharks. Why don't you start this one off? Because it's very lackluster.
Yeah, San Jose Sharks, like you said, lackluster, didn't have much. I went with the younger guy. I went with Dylan Gambrell.
So did I.
What did you like about Gambrell?
He's a good cap hit. I feel like he's only 24. He's a center. He could be one of the top AHL guys to kind of set up your farm system and maybe even crack your way into the fourth line if guys like Zach Aston-Reese don't work out or if there's injuries and stuff like that. I feel like he's a good depth forward at $700K, not a bad cap hit. So, yeah, that's why I picked him.
I agree 100%. This is a guy that just another defensive centerman can get some – he's got it offensively a little bit, but just for cap reasons and – just because San Jose had absolutely no one to take. So
absolutely nobody.
I went with Dylan Gambrell.
Exactly. So with that said, move right on to the St. Louis Blues. I went with 24-year-old defenseman. You could play both sides is Vince Dunn. $1.875 million cap hit. Obviously, he's an RFA this year, so you're going to have to sign him to a deal. But I think he's a guy that's been on his way out for a long time. I think there's other ways you can acquire Vladimir Tarasenko, and maybe if they do go that Philly route and acquire Tarasenko and then trade him to Philly, you could do that. And maybe even I think it would be fucking sick if they pick up Tarasenko, pick up Voracek, and then trade Tarasenko to Philly for JVR and get both of them.
That'd be sick.
I think that'd be a good move for both teams. But yeah, I went with Vince Dunn. Obviously, you have a guy like Dougie Hamilton on my squad, but you're gonna need a little bit more offense on the back end than that. So I went with Vince Dunn. Great cap hit, maybe even sign him to a better deal. So he's there for a little bit. But I think Vince Dunn is the pick in my mind. What do you think?
I'm going the Philly route, and I'm taking Tarasenko, and I'm immediately going to flip him.
Yep.
I'm just going to immediately flip him. I'm going to get assets for him while you still can.
Absolutely the thing, the most likely option.
While his name is still good, and you can still get something for him.
He's not 30 yet. He's 29 years old.
Look, I mean, he is banged up, too. I mean, his value did drop a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be going that well for Vladdy, even though I love Tarasenko. I have for so long.
Yeah.
NHL 17 cover boy, but I think you got to take him and flip him. Just gain more assets.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
No,
and Vince Dunn, I mean, that's a great fucking pick. You can play both sides.
Personally, we're just trying to strengthen the back end of the team, but I think Vince Dunn or Tarasenko are the two guys. You could go the Jaden Schwartz option. He's the same age as Tarasenko. He's 29, just plays on the left side, and it's $5.35 million. So a lot to offer from the St. Louis Blues, from forward-wise and defenseman-wise, but, interested to see which route they take. But, those are our picks. And moving on to the Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'll let you start this one off.
I went Andre Palat. I see this as a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer.
No, absolutely no-brainer.
This fucking no-brainer. This guy is so good, and he just doesn't get talked about enough.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be right up in this top 6, and people are going to finally appreciate what he does as a hockey player.
Yeah, which, I mean, you win 2 Stanley Cups, you think people would appreciate you.
But no, nobody talks about him enough, I feel like.
Absolutely not. But, I went the same way. He's 30 years old, right winger, and he signed for one more year at 5.3. But I mean, this kid can just, if you put him with a skilled center, he can he can make a duo with those guys and build some chemistry and just be a valid goal scorer. I know he's had some quiet years, but he's been on championship teams and been the most overrated guy in my opinion on each team, offensively at least.
Yeah,
so I think Andre Palat is a good pick. You could even go Yanni Gourde or Alex Killorn or any of these guys. So it's a Stanley Cup winning team. There's obviously a lot to pick from. So
all these guys are going to be solid on your hockey team.
Exactly. You can't go
These
wrong
guys are going to play. Either one you take, they will play on this team.
For sure. And moving on to Toronto, the Maple Leafs, I went with 26-year-old center at $3.5 million cap hit, Alexander Kerfoot, acquired from the Colorado Avalanche for Nazem Kadri and a couple more guys. But I think Kerfoot just didn't work out for him in Toronto. I think he needs a new fit, and I think this is perfect, so he could be their second center. That's why I have him. But 3.5 for another 2 years is great. He's only 26, and maybe he can get back to he can reach the peak of his offensive potential. So I think that's the pick there.
I went defenseman. I went with defenseman Travis Dermott.
Yep.
This is a guy that, like Vince Dunn, can play both sides as a left-handed defenseman. I really like what he can bring to the table.
Absolutely.
And he's been stuck in Toronto as a third pair guy. I think maybe you can give him a chance or you can stick him on the third pair. Either way, I think he's just going to help this hockey team win games. Yeah,
so I mean, I feel like the case with most of these teams is you have the top forward that you could take and you have the top defensive you can take, and it's obviously Kerfoot and Dermott in my opinion.
And if you don't you take Dermott and you could trade him to a team
for sure
and get more assets. A lot of these guys you can easily just flip.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, we'll see where they go. But Toronto, still a lot of good choices there. But definitely those two top guys are the biggest contenders to be picked. And then we have the Vancouver Canucks. I went with 26-year-old right defenseman, just a depth defenseman, Masson Bowie.
I also went with Madison Bowie.
Yeah, he had a good career in Washington, but eventually got traded to the Canucks and kind of
spent some time in Detroit too.
Yeah, so I think he has had some off years, but I think he can really be a solid depth defenseman for them. Only 26 years old, $725K cap hit, but yeah, I think it's not a lot to offer here from Vancouver Canucks. I mean, they could take Sven Baertschi. I know he's a
Sven Baertschi.
Sven Baertschi. I'm fucking kidding.
God, we haven't said that in a while.
He's horrible. That's our guy though. Can't disrespect Sven Baertschi.
The Baertschi.
Yeah, but I mean, people are even saying they could go for Braden Holtby here.
I know. I've heard that too.
If they want to and have him be the starter. I mean, $4.3 million cap hit. Wouldn't be surprised if they go that route and take him as the starter. Honestly.
Who knows?
So yeah. So that's it, Masson. You took Madison Bowie?
I also took Madison Bowie. Literally the same reason. He's just going to be a solid depth defenseman that you can plug in anywhere, too.
Yeah. And speaking of depth defenseman, the Washington Capitals, I went with 30-year-old right defenseman Nick Jensen at the $2.5 million cap hit.
Okay.
I feel like he's another guy that can be a third pair or even a second pair because I know he had a bad playoff run this year and had some bad turnovers and stuff like that against the Bruins, but maybe this is just what he needs. He needs a fresh start, but I feel like you can't go wrong with any of these guys like Brendan Dillon or Alex Ovechkin if you've heard of him. So, tell us what you think.
I like the pick. I immediately was thinking about the turnovers against the Bees, and I was just the more and more I thought about it, I was like, oh, this is just recency bias. But I closed out my goaltending. I picked out Vitek Vanecek.
Yep. And
I mean, this is a guy that literally stole the job from Ilya Samsonov this year.
For sure.
He's a young Czech goalie. I needed another one. I was assuming that they were going to start Drieger. Before I did this before Drieger got signed.
That contract just fucking threw everything into a loop.
It's throwing me off because it's only
it's
$3 million per year. You don't pay your starter $3 million per year.
That's not starter money.
So I went Vanecek, but it's like now I'm all like, okay, is it going to be Holtby? Is it going to be Carey Price? Like,
yeah, it could honestly be anyone at this point. Maybe that is starter
and
money.
Ben Bishop too.
Yeah, which I don't think that would be a smart pick, but I guess we'll see. I mean, this is going to be probably the most interesting expansion draft in league history, just with all the options that there are. So we'll see where they go when it comes to the Washington Capitals. But, yeah, I went with Nick Jensen, depth defenseman. Hopefully he can turn it around this year. So Winnipeg Jets, I went with just another cap guy. I went with Sami Niku, the 24-year-old right defenseman, 7.25 once again. Has 1 year left on his contract, but this is a guy who's played in the NHL, played like a decent amount of games, and
he was their third pair during the playoffs.
Exactly. So maybe he can blossom into something good for them, and who knows, maybe he can perform and be a solid player for them. But yeah, I just took it in terms of cap, just so they could have some left over in terms of if they wanted to sign some guys to their roster. So,
and I went with another just kind of like low risk, high reward guy. I went with Mason Appleton.
Yep, that's a good one.
And I vision him as like a third line guy.
For sure.
Guy that could play both ways.
$900K cap, 25 years old. That's a safe pick too, for sure. So yeah, I mean that does it for each team.
How much do you know how much cap space you had?
I have $69.5 million. That leaves me $12 million. So if they wanted to go and sign a guy for 8 and then a guy for 4 on top of that, they could do that. So my projected lineup is this. You have Palat, Duchesne, Voracek on your first line, Janssen, Kerfoot, and Donskoy on the 2, Cahoon, Fisher, and Nemesnikov on the 3, and then Como, Aston Reese, and then Bellows or Lizotte. I feel like with all the depth guys, you could kind of slot them in. You know, maybe not great on paper, but I mean, if you look at these expansion teams, sometimes you just get the guys that have the right chemistry with each other and play the right way. And I think, you know, this has it for sure. But in terms of guys I wouldn't pick, I think Matty Beniers, I think the main takeaway from him is that he's NHL ready, and that's why he's being picked at the 2.
Yeah.
So I think if he cracks starting lineup,
I forgot they had the second pick.
Yeah,
Holy
I think
crap.
he can. If he can crack the lineup, he'll fill in for a guy in the third line with Nemesnikov. He'll play with Cahoon, Fisher, and yeah, you play with Cahoon and Fisher, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You play on the third line, and Nemesnikov moves down to the 4th. But I think they're still going to go out and get a guy like Landeskog or Tarasenko. I think they're still going to get a couple more big fish outside of this draft. But just in terms of the draft, that's where it lines up for forwards. And then the decor, which was the main center, was Giordano and Hamilton is your first pair, which is
that's beautiful.
Bonkers.
That's beautiful.
Vince Dunn and Nick Jensen, which could be a little defensive liability, and then Brett Kulak and Clifton. So those are my D pairings, and then Drieger, Kakinen, and Delia are my goalies. So yeah, that's the way it's shaping up right now. I don't think they'll stick with the draft. I think they're going to pick up a lot of guys, whether it's guys that are draft ready or just free agents, because there's a fucking ton of them. So yeah, that's where things stand right now, as you know, as in terms of my predictions. But tell me what you think.
All right, so we're doing it live, actually.
Yeah.
We're doing it live. So
Okay.
I'm just going through this in my head right now with my roster. I'm going to go Andre Palat, Ryan Johansson, and Jonathan Drouin. Drouin and Palat have
That's
played
sweet.
together before.
Yep.
I'm going to go JVR. I'm going to go Max Domi. I'm going to go Colin Blackwell on the second line.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to give Blackwell the chance. He was playing with Panarin all year long.
Yeah,
so let's stick him with JVR and sauce the rock a little bit. I'm going to go with a little bit of a bigger third line. I'm going to go Nick Ritchie, Nick Bukestad, and Adam Gaudette.
Yep.
Sprinkle in the little speed, skill with Gaudette. Big physical wingers. And then
Career third line guys playing on the third line.
I think for my fourth line, do I want to go? Actually, I'm going to stick Kiefer Bellows on the third line because I want him playing. I don't want him playing fourth line.
No.
God, no. I'll go Bukestad. I'll go Chris Tierney. and I'll go Mason Appleton.
There you go.
Oh, no, Christian Fisher, actually. I'll go Christian Fisher.
Christian Fisher's on your fourth line?
Yeah, I'll go Christian
Gotcha.
Fisher on the fourth line. And then my D pairs, I just realized this. I have a ton of lefty defensemen.
Yeah.
I have one, I think, righty, and it's Madison Bowie. So I'm going to go with, what do I want to go with? I want to go Clefbaum. I want to go Clefbaum and Butcher. I'll go Clefbaum and I don't know. Well, the D-core, I have a ton of lefties. You can go Clefbaum, Stetcher. Oh, no, I do have I'll go Clefbaum and Stetcher. I'll go Butcher and Vatanen, and then I'll go, I don't know. I'll give Gooley a chance with Bowie. I don't know.
Yeah. So
I'm just throwing it together right now. Jake Bean. No, I got to throw the quarterback power play out there.
Yep, have to.
After what I did, Jake Bean is playing with
Don't power
Madison
play your
Bowie.
quarterback.
Yeah, and then goalies,
Yeah, who are your goalies?
My goalies are Chris Drieger, Vanacek, and Tyler Parsons.
There you go.
And that's it.
Drieger's your starter.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
I was fucking hoping that someone would pick Carey Price, but
nope.
Neither of us did. We didn't have the balls, and hopefully Ronnie Francis does. But
no, we're smart.
You think so?
We're smart.
Yeah, probably.
He's seeing a doctor, and who knows? He might never play hockey again if his hip's that bad.
Yeah, which, you never know. But yeah, with that said, that wraps it up for our expansion draft.
Holy crap.
Simulation. I think that took a good maybe like an hour or so, but that was a blast. I think looking at your team, it's a lot more offensive than mine, and I went with the defensive pairs. Obviously, Giordano and Hamilton would probably be a top D pair of the whole entire league if you ask me, but I think they're not done after the expansion draft. It would be nice to maybe be able to formulate lineups after they sign everybody and stuff like that, but
yeah, we could definitely
as it stands, expansion draft is a Wednesday. It's currently Monday, so
on ESPN, first thing ever televised since like late 2000s on
They'll
ESPN.
get good numbers for that too, because I know a lot of people after watching how Vegas did. I don't think that got a lot of viewership, but knowing how they did, a lot of people are excited for the new expansion team in Seattle. I think it's gonna be sick. You've guys like Marshawn Lynch are gonna be there, Macklemore's gonna be there,
yep,
and like a bunch of other Seattle people. So that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that.
I also had my expansion team. I had $16 million in cap space. So
16.
I had $16 million.
Yeah. Well, just before we move on, what do you think they do with that?
I think you add to the defensive core.
Yeah.
I think you absolutely add a couple right-handed shot defensemen around the $4 or $5 million range.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe add another top six, middle six forward.
Yeah.
And then, honestly, I don't know, because this whole Carey Price thing is still confusing the shit out of me. And this whole Drieger
Thanks, Bergeron.
This Drieger thing threw me off.
I know.
Real bad.
Bergeron just absolutely threw a wrench into everyone's fucking...
Thanks, Burger Van.
Yeah, they just put our mind in a blender, but...
Douche.
With that said...
We got buzz, huh? Holy Chrysler.
That's all we got for that long-ass segment. Hopefully everyone's looking forward to the Seattle expansion draft. That's just what we think is going to happen, and I know everyone's going to be keeping a big eye on that. We'll have a lot of posts on the Instagram. We'll talk about it Thursday in a couple of days once it's all said and done. So that's going to be sick. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for that segment.
That's the NHL. That was all the NHL.
Holy 83 minutes worth of NHL.
We got to go, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's all right. Now, obviously, we were gone for 2 weeks, so we missed a lot of stuff. But one of the most notable things was the MLB All-Star Game.
And holy crap.
It was a blast.
Vlad hit one to the moon.
I know. Yeah.
And won MVP.
Yeah, which he should have. AL gets the win there.
Again.
Yeah, so.
We dominate.
I don't know if it's just me here, but I care a lot more when MLB has something on the line. When it comes to the All-Star Game, home field advantage in the World Series was sick. I think it just puts a little something that, you need to win.
It gives us players something
a little
to play
gumption.
for.
Exactly. So when there's nothing to play for and just kind of messing around, it kind of takes away the intensity. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed watching it. Obviously, Vladdy and the Red Sox were watching Xander Bogaerts make double plays to Vlad Guerrero Jr. at first base was the stuff that you dream about.
Yeah, and then friggin'
couldn't imagine you sitting there. You're probably fucking.
Oh my god!
Concrete.
I was.
It was sick. So
I was all over the place, especially the 8th inning when they brought in Barnes.
Yep.
And he got himself in a bases loaded jam. I'm like, no.
I know.
He's already throwing 30 pitches. He's gonna be gassed when we get him back, and then. Thank God for Jared Walsh out in left field, who typically plays first base. He's playing left field, makes that sliding catch and gets him out of the inning.
Right. Ooh. So, during the night of the All-Star Game, I tipped it back a little bit, and I was having a nervous breakdown when Matty Barnes was there because you want your players to do well from your team, so your team has a good reputation.
Bogarts went 2 for 3.
Exactly.
Devers had a fucking double.
Yeah, so I mean they played great. They established how they're the best left side of the infield in the league, and that was a blast. But I think what overshadowed the whole entire game was the home run derby.
That was a beautiful.
Which I've already made the executive decision. I'm going to be in LA for the home run derby next year. Have to.
I want to go to a derby so bad.
It's bucket list, and it's going to be in LA. I think it's the best time to go.
Kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, but Pete Alonso goes. He beats Trey Mancini in the finals, who he was my horse, Trey Mancini. Just
really?
Because overcoming colon cancer the last year would be just a sick story to watch him go all the way. But I think Pete Alonso was born on this planet to win home run derbies.
And
he was.
That's probably the best way you could describe it,
exactly.
to be honest with you.
I mean, the dude has made more money winning home run derbies than he has his whole entire career playing Major League Baseball.
Fucking back-to-back champion.
Yeah, he's made $2 million in his contract. It's like $835K, which will change once that expires. So
he'll get paid because he fucking wins the home run derby.
Yeah, and what is it? Joss? What's his first name? The guy who's pitching to him. It was Joss. Fuck. Dave Joss.
Dave Joss.
Dave Joss was the guy who was throwing him BP. He was,
pounding the zone.
Yeah, first base coach. Honestly, if you look at the score, if you look at the zone box that they put up there, he threw it on a dime the whole time.
Yeah.
Right where Pete Alonso needed to be, and the kid was just jacking home runs. No one was
You should have
him.
seen me. My horse was Joey Gallo, and Gallo's pitcher was absolutely abysmal. I was screaming at the TV, throw it in the fucking zone.
I mean, how do you think for people who bet on Shohei Ohtani we're feeling?
Because, oh my God!
I mean, he
kept just hitting lineouts,
which I'll be exactly, which I'll be talking about in my rivalries. But yeah, I think Pete Alonso, his sole purpose on earth is to win home run derbies. It's just how it is.
It's just the way it goes.
So congratulations. I mean, he'll probably win it next year too. But I feel like most people are hoping for Ohtani to win.
Hold the phone.
What?
Please, at ESPN, please.
Please
Bring back Chris Berman to the Derby. Like, it's not as exciting. I want to hear back, gone. Not, oh, this ball's hit well.
It's brutal. It's
like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I watched it with my dad, who is very close to Chris Berman, and he hates. Is it Joe Tessitore that does it?
No, it's not Tessitore.
Who announced the home run derby?
It's like some no-name guy.
Come on. Carl Ravitch. That's who it is. He just couldn't stop mentioning how Trey Mancini had cancer every 5 seconds.
That's just how ESPN is. It's like
they love the narrative and stuff like that.
The NFL draft, they would like say, "Oh, this guy got drafted out of Alabama. Also, his grandmother died." Like, what?
Like, why?
Like, why do I don't need to know this.
My children are watching.
Right?
I mean, just let them watch the guys hit home runs.
They better not do that for the NHL.
Unbelievable story. I know I was rooting for the guy the whole time. I wanted him to win, but I mean, it's a home run derby. I want to hear how he almost died and how he had to go through chemotherapy for a year, like every 5 seconds.
Yeah, you can tell the story once.
So yeah, I think Chris Berman going back is a must because
he brings the energy
just signed
to
a
the
new
derby.
deal. Just signed a new deal to ESPN to do prime time and stuff like that. So why not bring him back? I know a lot of people want him back, but maybe because Carl Ravitch is kind of lackluster for such a important event. It's one of my favorite sporting events of all time.
It was so much better with Berman too.
Exactly. Make it
because you could just sit at your TV and go back.
Yeah! Gone.
Oh my God. I think I've already told this story. The most memorable derby moment in my life is the home run derby in Minnesota, and Stanton hits one almost out of the stadium in left field, and there's 3 decks, and Berman's like, "Oh, this is 2/3 away in the upper deck."
I mean, just like making everybody watch it fired up. And if you look at the home run derby, there's just like all these tense moments, especially this year. There would be guys that would have to hit 2 home runs in 10 seconds, and you're up in your chair.
Gallo gets one swing off, and then it leaves, and then it ends up not counting. Berman would be freaking out.
There were so many moments where I was freaking out this year, and the announcer, Carl Ravitch, just didn't feel the same way.
He's just like, dude, go announce golf if you're going to talk like that.
Exactly.
Really.
And I feel like the way it was this year was like, it would be like, okay, Mancini has to hit 2 here in 10 seconds. And then the color commentator would be like, oh, that's not out. Oh, that's not going to do it. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
That
That's
guy
not
sounds
out.
like he's talking underwater.
Exactly. So,
Like, what are you doing?
just
ESPN?
come on. It is the most important baseball event of the year
Bring
for
back-
a lot of people.
Hashtag bring back
Bring
Berm
back
Dog.
Berman. Bring back Boom because he's made for the home run derby.
He is a home
He's a
run.
larger than life individual. So ESPN, I'm telling you right now, you're making good moves. NHL and ESPN, you're getting all the right guys in there. Bring back Chris Berman.
Hashtag bring back Chris Berman.
Bring back Boom.
Bring
do
back
it.
Boom.
Do it. It's got to happen. So, yeah. I feel like we just talked about the home run derby for
Dude,
10
we
minutes.
are just going strong here, huh?
I know.
Holy
So
Christ.
Pete Alonso wins that. I think it has a lot to do with who's pitching to you and if they know where your sweet spot is. Because going into this, Shohei Ohtani was the heavy favorite. And he's never taken batting practice.
Until the Derby.
The guy doesn't
Until
take batting
before
practice.
the Derby, and he almost hit one out of Rocky Stadium.
And then you're in a competition that is competitive batting practice, and you've never done it, so you have no pitcher that really knows your sweet spot. So just a failure. I'm glad I didn't put any money on him. Maybe he comes back next year and finally takes batting practice. But Pete Alonso definitely was made to win this tournament, and I bet he's not done winning these.
No, he's
in
going
my
to win a
humble
couple
opinion.
more, I bet.
So with that said, we move on to the some more MLB news.
Yeah, we got
Like
a
go to the
little
next-
bit. I
the
mean,
next point.
Obviously, Jock Peterson getting traded to the Atlanta Braves. Hit a home run a couple nights ago,
Yep.
actually. The Cubs fire sale has begun.
You think so?
I think this is it. I think you're going to see either one, two, or all three of these guys go. Baez,
Rizzo, or Bryant.
and Bryant.
I don't think Bryant's going anywhere. He's the poster boy.
I think Baez and
is
Rizzo
the-
are going.
I think Rizzo and Bryant might stay put. I think Baez is on his way out the door. I feel like he's lasted his tenure there. So yeah, I think he'll find his way to a contender. But speaking of another guy that is looking to be traded is Trevor Story.
And he has not had a great year in terms of Trevor Story. You know, like when you typically look at his stats.
Not
He
at
just
all.
hasn't had a good looking year, but
Nope.
he's still got a lot of value too.
Yeah.
And he's gonna want to go to a contender, and Colorado's
Exactly.
gonna want to get something back for him.
They were talking about it during the Derby
Yeah.
because he participated because he was the hometown boy. He's looking to go to a contender. I know Colorado's having a meh year. In all things considered.
Typical of Colorado.
So if there's a team that needs a shortstop, I feel Trevor Story would kind of fit in there nicely, and hopefully he can revamp his season because he's not doing too great either. But we'll definitely keep an eye on that because the trade deadline is going to be crazy.
Yes, it is. It's going to be fun to watch, too.
Yeah.
And then I think we'll do the MLB draft. The MLB draft actually happened while we were gone.
Yep.
The first overall
It's probably
pick.
the worst time to take a break in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. That's
Yeah.
fair.
No, we suck.
I mean, we're rambling on, too. We still got more to talk about, too.
We have quite a lot, yeah.
This is the second segment.
I know.
For Christ's
Yeah,
sake.
okay, so yeah, Yankees versus Red Sox.
All right, yeah, I was going to do the draft. But we'll do the Yanks and Sox.
Yeah.
But
They're winning games.
the Yankees have won 2 in a row now. That's called a winning streak.
Yep. For those not familiar with the term, that is a winning streak. It's when you win more than one game. Maybe they can win 3.
3.
Imagine
I hope
that.
not. I don't think they will.
No, I mean they're still 7 games back from first place in that division.
That team sucks.
Playing with the AAA squad because of the COVID, they got the COVID outbreak in their in their penthouse.
One of the more funnier
Clubhouse.
lineups I've ever seen the
Clubhouse.
Yankees produce.
I know, and it even got worse because during the game they lost a couple of players to injury, and they just had to keep bringing out the farm team, and they strung out 2 consecutive wins, one in a hurricane, full-on hurricane.
That game
The
was
tarps weren't coming out.
until
If-
after the Yankees batted.
Katrina was going to have to come
And then they
to Yankee Stadium for the tarp to come
they
out.
waited until the Yankees batted one more time,
I
and
know.
then they put the tarp out. And
Yeah.
then the umpiring was probably the worst I've ever seen it this year too.
It was pretty bad.
It was absolutely disgusting.
Hey, you got to let the little guys win a couple just so,
Yeah, so people will watch the games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, with that said, congratulations to the Yankees. You won a series against the Red Sox, and you won your first 9-inning game against the Red Sox in 306 days. There you go. Consolation brownie points.
Good for you.
Moving on to the MLB draft.
All right, so we also, like I said, we missed this. First overall pick is catcher Henry Davis going to the Pittsburgh Pirates out
Yeah.
of Louisville. I mean,
Yeah.
he
sure.
was kind of projected to be in that top 3, but
I think there was never a doubt that he was going first. I think when you look at catchers in the MLB, they're not really known for their hitting and stuff like that. But this kid Henry Davis can absolutely fucking.
I think this is the second catcher in 3 years to be picked first overall. Too. I mean, let's go catcher nation, baby. Let's fucking go.
So yeah, I think he's more than deserving. People were thinking that Jack Leiter could have gone first, but I feel like this was the unanimous pick the whole entire time. And Pittsburgh doesn't really need pitching prospects, so this is a good pick for them. And hopefully he can set the foundation and hopefully get up to the MLB sooner rather than later.
Yeah, because they fucking need it. That team sucks.
Big
and then
time.
with the second pick, the Texas Rangers took Jack Leiter out of Vanderbilt. It was very sad to see him go at 2 because everyone was saying he's going to go to 4.
This was a spike in my blood pressure. I didn't need at that time of day.
I looked and I saw Jack Leiter to the Rangers. I'm like, no.
Hey.
Because he would have been perfect. We needed pitching prospects, and he's fucking nasty.
I'm aware. But, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
We can
skip over the third pick, Jackson Jobe, whatever.
Heritage Hall, high school. He's the best high school pitcher in the draft.
Kind of a confusing pick if you're a Detroit Tigers fan because that, probably the best player in the whole entire draft.
And they already have a plethora of pitching prospects, too. Mm-hmm. They didn't need another one.
I mean, speaking of organizations that have a lot of one position, the Boston Red Sox take another shortstop, Marcelo Meyer.
Who was projected to be the first overall pick.
A lot of people in their mock drafts had him at 1, like a lot of people. So who knows, maybe in a couple of years, everyone will look back and be like, how did this kid not get picked 1?
Yeah. And
I think we were talking about this a lot when it happened. This was you think he's going to stick around and be the predecessor to Xander Bogaerts. I personally think this is going to be another Yohan Moncada that gets packaged in a trade deal to get a legitimate pitcher to win now.
Yep.
Who knows? I mean, Chaim Bloom is just gathering, the pieces that he needs to get a legitimate team, and who knows if he's going to be a part of it or if, he's going to be sent to another team because this is going to be a top prospect in a couple of years.
He will be our top prospect by next year. I guarantee it.
Right. So I mean, it's not bad to have guys like this in your back pocket that you can trade away, or if you want to keep them instead of Xander Bogaerts, which I'm opposed to. But hey, whatever Chaim Bloom thinks is best because he's doing a stellar job in my opinion.
And then I think we should just talk about the 10th pick here. All the way down at 10 was Kumar Rocker going to the fucking New York Mets.
For sure.
If they needed more pitching.
No, exactly. I think when you have a guy like this who falls in the draft that is supposed to be projected in the top 5, you kind of have to pick him. We see this a lot in any sport. Whenever a guy is projected to be top 10 and then his stock kind of falls towards the draft, like he did in the College World Series.
Last year, he's supposed to be the number 1 pick in this draft.
Exactly, and he deferred, which was kind of the smart move, but that final against Mississippi State kind of
shelled.
Yeah, kind of dipped his stock a little bit, and that's how he fell to 10, honestly. But if you're the Mets, this is very high reward for them. So I think it's a smart pick, and who knows, maybe this is another pick that people look back on and be like,
how the hell did he get to 10?
How did he get to 10? So I think this is a no-brainer for the Mets. I know they have a lot of pitching prospects, but if you can get a guy who's projected to be the best player in the draft last year at the 10th, it's kind of like who was the guy? Oh, the tackle that was taken in the NFL draft this year by the Lions.
Penei Sewell.
Yeah, he was supposed to go in like the top 3, and he fell all the way to the Lions. So maybe it's a case of that, a talented guy that just some people are a little bit too scared to take, and you take a chance and it ends up working for you. But we'll see. Honestly, I love this draft. I feel like we're gonna look back and there's gonna be a lot of talented players, but very entertaining draft. Very, very depressed. The Red Sox didn't get Jack Leiter, but you don't always get what you want.
Yeah.
Your team's in first place. How much could you complain?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say on the MLB draft. NBA Finals is on.
The Milwaukee Giannis Antetokounmpos versus the Phoenix Devin Bookers. Because these guys have been literally like Mike Tyson and Vander Holyfield out there just trading 40 points. Bang, 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 bang.
40 pointers, exactly. I mean, I would like to say this right now. Heart to heart, man to man, man to league. I'm sorry. I know I've talked so much shit about the NBA. Just nothing but bad things to say about the league. But I very much enjoy this playoff series.
This has been one of the better NBA finals I've ever seen.
Yeah, the sheer number of iconic moments that have came from these last couple games. I mean,
literally like 2 games, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking like Suns in 4. It honestly was.
But it was violently Suns in 4, and then like that.
And then it was Bucks and 6.
And then it was Bucks and 6.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah, I would like to say I'm sorry to the NBA. Maybe stop putting LeBron James in every final, and this is what you get.
And maybe stop showing LeBron James on every post.
Exactly.
On your Instagram.
He was like, "Oh, I'm not in the finals this year. How am I going to make this about me?
Oh, I'm
going to sit courtside.
I'm going to sit courtside.
I'm going to sit courtside, and just
sit there.
have a bottle of cognac under my seat, and just let the content flow."
And there it was. There's an NBA Finals game going on, and they're showing LeBron James.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh.
But yeah, I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo is solidifying himself as a Hall of Fame player
Already.
at this young age. I mean, the kid is just fucking ridiculous.
How did he block that alley-oop from Booker to Ayton?
Easily.
I don't know how that is.
Biggest block in NBA history.
You think it's bigger than the LeBron block?
I don't know what you're
the
talking
LeBron
about.
chase down block in the 2016 finals?
It's the best NBA Finals chase down block ever.
It's
Ever.
Oh my god, it was so.
I don't even know how he got up there. Unbelievable loop. Oop. Unbelievable oop. By Devin Booker to DeAndre Ayton, and then Giannis Antetokounmpo is just showing everyone why he was made in a lab.
Loop.
Shut the fuck up.
That was good.
He was made in a lab, and he just jumps 10 feet in the air and swats it. Just nothing. It's absolutely impressive. Best chase down block in NBA history.
And then
no one even comes close.
And then the next game, Booker's trying to hit a shot.
Yep.
Drew Holiday steals, throws a lob up, and I don't know how he put it down.
Dunks it behind the rim.
I don't know how he's doing this.
He's behind the backboard, and Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Dunk.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
I mean, I'm out of my element when we're talking about basketball just because I don't follow it. Like I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, NBA. You're providing me with a lot of good stuff this week. I'm enjoying this, and hopefully it goes 7. We'll talk about it on Thursday. It'll be wrapped up Thursday. Game 6 tonight.
Yep.
Game 7 Wednesday.
Big game 6
So, we're going to have a lot to talk about Thursday. Yeah, I mean, this is my favorite NBA Finals probably since 2008. Since the Celtics. Since the Celtics won it.
Baby.
I'm loving this. So if we can just get new teams in the finals every year like we have this year.
That'd be great.
Just give me this. I mean, we've been talking about it for months and months and months. NBA has sucked. They've absolutely sucked. The playoffs have been abysmal. But this final, it's the reverse of the NHL. All the way up to the finals was great. Finals sucked. Finals are great for the NBA, and up to it sucked. So, I mean, you can either have the first 3 rounds be great and your finals suck, or have the first 3 rounds be shit and your finals be great.
Yep. And then
Just pick your poison.
I mean, I guarantee you this will not be Giannis's last final.
Absolutely
and I guarantee you it won't be Devin Booker's last final.
Nope.
And I think both of these guys will have rings on their fingers at some point in their careers.
You think so?
Yep, definitely.
Well, I mean, can I get your prediction on who you think is going to win?
I think the Bucks are going to take it home tonight.
You think so? You think they lose 4 straight?
I don't. They're just rolling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless Devin Booker unless Kobe comes down for the heavens and is giving Devin Booker a back rub.
Yeah, the secret
and he
stuff.
drops like 70 again.
I mean,
or Chris Paul would be nice for him to show up.
He has vertigo, dude. Do you know what vertigo? He has vertigo.
I know.
He just gets
I know.
dizzy.
I know.
He's nauseous.
Vertigo sucks. I know.
He's nauseous 99% of the time. Which, I mean, how much? If you can't have your second best player not be your second best player.
Yeah.
Personally, that's just the way it is, especially in the finals. So, I honestly thought that the Bucks were going to win Game 5. Everyone thought the Suns were going to win 5. Suns were heavily favored.
I thought the Suns were going to win Game 5.
Me too, and they just didn't. So, series is flipped on its head. They've lost 3 straight, and they got to respond tonight, or they're done. So, the miraculous run of our Suns could be done
just
tonight.
Like that. Just like that.
Tonight. So, with that said, I'd like to say thank you, Phoenix Suns, for saving professional basketball.
Suns in 4 always.
You have done more for us and the fans of NBA basketball. You've done more than you know. So
thank you, Phoenix. Thank you, Phoenix fans.
If this is it, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a fantastic ride. But I feel like in the end, Milwaukee Bucks, definitely. What am I doing, dude?
Hey, we've
shaking off the rust.
We've been gone for a little bit.
Shaking off the rust.
It's all right.
The Milwaukee Bucks definitely deserve. The Milwaukee Bucks definitely deserve to win this. They're the better team. They've been the better coach team. Their def players and outside of Giannis have been great. Drew Holiday, I know he's gotten a lot of shit for how he performed in the first 3 games, and Chris Middleton hasn't been playing to his potential. the first 3 games as well. But now they're back, and they just have all the momentum, and now they're at home with that crowd. I just don't see how they lose, personally.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, a lot of people didn't see how Phoenix could lose Game 5.
Yep.
Yeah, so maybe they get a couple calls and this goes 7, which
I would love for it to go 7.
I wouldn't hate that at all. But yeah, I think they should win tonight. I think they will. But if they don't, I don't really care. It's Game 7. Give me another Game 7. This is like I said, it's my favorite finals in 13 years. So
yeah,
more basketball is benefits everyone.
All right,
is that you get?
I'm good. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man.
Yeah.
And then you obviously will take away our next 2 segments because I don't know.
No, yeah, for sure. I know I like to kind of branch off into the sports that aren't as mainstream. So I'll talk about the Euro Cup final, which happened a week ago. Yeah, it was last Sunday. England versus Italy. I know that was big news. Italy took the win in penalties. There, definitely heartbreak. I know I was working at the Greatest Bar. I had a shift there, and it was probably like 600 England fans packing all 4 floors, and just a pure like depression that happened when they lost that game. There were grown men absolutely bawling their eyes out, and this is a team. This is a country that hasn't won a title since 1967.
Oh, so it's like the Leafs.
Since the Cold War.
So
yeah,
it's
it's
like
if
the
the Leafs made it to the Stanley Cup Finals Game 7 and then lost in penalty shots.
In overtime.
Well, but like penalty shots.
Like a shootout.
Yeah.
Like if they had a shootout.
If they had a shootout to decide Game 7 and they lost because they missed 3 straight shots. It was just absolutely heartbreaking stuff. And then the racism that followed it after. I mean, I was watching it just because no one was I'm a food runner. No one was ordering food during the penalties because they were all fucking nervous. No one can eat. And I was able to watch it with all the fans, and it just went from being up 2-1 in the penalties because they take 5 shots and then missing the next 3. It's just like you said, it was pure jubilation. It was the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. So it was just tough to see, honestly. But Italy was obviously the better team, and the North End was going crazy. So good for them because they definitely deserved it. But just like seeing the 3 African American players go up, Rashford, Saka, and forget the name of the other guy, but them 3 all went, and all 3 of them missed. And the first thing I thought of was like, damn, like I hope this doesn't turn into what I think it might, and it did.
Oh no.
The Rashford murals in Manchester were defaced and stuff like that, but it was a good response from. I know Prince William spoke out, and the community kind of came and like fixed the mural and stuff like that. So it was a good pushback from the non-racists on that, but it's at the end of the day, it's just sports, and people have to realize that. I know people from Boston also have a history of doing stuff like that, but it's just sports at the end of the day, and we're all human. And just in general, this tournament, I feel like there was a broad feeling of, and there's just a lot of news coming out of like players' families being hit with death threats because they weren't scoring goals and stuff like that. Guys on Spain, I think I talked about this last time, but like guys on Spain and all the other teams, like it's just a sport. You don't have to threaten to kill somebody's family because they're not scoring goals for your team in a tournament that happens every 2 years. It's not that serious, so just want to touch on that because soccer fans are fucking nuts. Maybe they need a culture change because in a sport that is the most popular sport in the world, you can't have this happening every year because it's a fucking embarrassment. But with that said, congratulations to Italy. Great tournament. I think that's the most fun I've had watching soccer ever in my whole entire life. It was just a good little tournament to have, so congratulations to them. And I'll move on to Wimbledon. Novak Djokovic won in the finals against some Italian dude. I don't know. I would Google his name, but nobody really cares. He lost the first game and then won 3 straight after that and was just pure dominance. Obviously, he's the best tennis player right now and possibly of all time. He's in that conversation with Nadal and Roger Federer. But, yeah, he takes a win in Wimbledon this year. So, yeah, with that, so we'll move on to birthdays. I'll let you take this one away.
We got plenty.
Oh, and the Scripps National Spelling Bee happened. If you didn't watch it, you're a fucking loser. And the winner of that was Zayla Avant-Garde.
Iridocyclitis.
Have you seen any highlights of this girl?
She is a brainiac.
She's from Louisiana, and she is gross at basketball.
Yeah. Oh, I did see those. I did see
Dude,
those.
she's in 8th grade, and she makes girls look silly. she's like Steph Curry out there. Her handles are like ridiculous. I mean, they wouldn't stop talking about it. It was just like Carl Roberts talking about Trey Mancini overcoming cancer. It's just something that they wouldn't stop saying. Maybe it's just an ESPN trend, but they just kept showing her hoop mixtape of her just crossing little middle schoolers.
Yeah.
So this girl, obviously, best speller in the world, and she's an absolute hooper. So I just had to get that in there too because I mean, absolute warrior. But yeah, we'll move on to birthdays.
All right, so on the birthdays, I screwed it up on our script. So that was actually yesterday, but today's birthdays are actually happy 36th birthday to LaMarcus Aldridge, who just retired from the NBA this season. Nothing more you can say about him except just standout player. Happy 33rd birthday to Trent Williams from the Washington football team. Happy 32nd birthday to Patrick Corbin, left-hander for the Washington Nationals. Happy 38th birthday to Brent Grimes, former Dolphins cornerback, who has one of the best interceptions of all time.
Oh, my God. That was filthy.
One of the best things I've ever seen in my life was that pick.
All-time sports highlight.
Optimus Grimes, they used to call him. Happy 42nd birthday to Rick Ankiel, a former pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. Happy 34th birthday to Nationals catcher Yan Gomes. Happy 37th birthday to former Rays first baseman Adam Morrison. And a happy 24th birthday to Columbus Blue Jackets defenseman Zach Werenski.
Nice. Happy late birthday, Sunday, July 17th, to Joe Torre, Torrey Hunter, Bam Adebayo, Jamie Benn, Eugenio Suarez, Penny Hardaway, Deion Branch, Dinelson Lamet, Devin Bush, Miro Heiskanen, get that bag, Alan Craig, Derek Dietrich, Victor Olofsson, and Dionysus
Antetokounmpo's birthday
who got COVID for his birthday.
That's
happy birthday
God.
Song.
All right, so for this day in sports, we had this day in 2017, the Giants signed Pablo Sandoval back after his horrendous tenure with the Boston Red Sox. We will not talk about that. This day in 2018, the Celtics re-signed Marcus Smart. And also today on 2018, July 19th, how you doing? Thunder acquired Dennis Schroeder, but I really felt the need to put this in here too. Yesterday on 2018, the Toronto Raptors acquired Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green for DeMar DeRozan and Jacob Poeltl. Of course, the Toronto Raptors would go on with that 1 year with Kawhi to win an NBA championship. And what a trade, huh? All right.
Big time. Change the course of the NBA forever.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to throw in
a couple of jerseys.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just actually put two in there because I saw some over the All-Star break. I'm a big fan of the Reds home jerseys.
Those are really
nice.
Put
a black font behind it. I just never noticed that they even switched them up in the first place. I think they look better than they ever have. I mean, the font that says Reds and
it's a very classic jersey too.
I don't think it gets enough credit because I know they revamped it, but in the grand scheme of baseball jerseys, you always have the classics like the Cubs, the Yankees, and the Red Sox. But the Reds don't really get thrown in the conversation that much, and I think they have great unis. So I had to put in there, and then I obviously had to put in, just because working on the theme here, based off that, the Seattle Kraken's jerseys.
I like those.
Me too, obviously.
I like those.
Yeah.
I like those.
Do you think you end up getting one? Maybe a Carey Price one?
I probably will if they could maybe get like Carey Price.
Right.
Get his Tarasenko jersey just to get him flipped to Philly.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Just the combination of the teal, the dark blue, the kind of grayish blue, and the red.
The red just pops
so
too.
I can't wait to see how they look on the ice.
Those are gonna look beautiful.
Yeah. So that does it for my jerseys.
And then I had two. The Team USA basketball jerseys are absolutely gorgeous. Tried to get a Jason Tatum jersey. It was sold out. I was not happy.
I don't love them.
I like them. I like the little blue combo. I like the white ones a lot better, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think when it comes to Team USA jerseys, they're incredibly easy to make. When you look at
USA.
Yeah, and just like they're very simple. They always have been. My favorite ones are the Miracle on Ice ones. Those are pretty sweet.
I have one, yeah.
Yeah, and the U.S. development team for hockey. Those are pretty sweet too. But I just let me take a look at these. I'll tell you exactly what I don't like. I just don't really like how they have the just the blend in colors, like how they go from dark to blue, and there's like
That's what
not enough red.
The hockey team does it too. It's just like the sleeves are really weird.
No, yeah, with the feathers. The IAHF just absolutely loves that style of uniform, and hopefully they just fucking ditch it for the Olympics because those suck. I think it's mandatory that they have that because I think Team USA doesn't like playing in those. I don't think any country does. But I'm not the biggest fan. I think they don't have enough red. It's red, white, and blue, but here you just have like light blue, which isn't a US
it's like
color.
a weird blue.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand how some people could like it, but I'm not the biggest fan. So.
I'm a big fan of that white one though,
right?
Because it's just white, navy blue, red, simple. And then we're gonna have to revisit this one. The All-Star Game uniforms got debuted, and I honestly think these uniforms / jerseys would be unbelievable if it wasn't for the stupid front of them.
No, yeah. They make no sense.
They ruined those uniforms. I actually was a big fan of the navy blue jersey and the navy blue pants on those.
No, I agree. I mean, I feel like the trend with every single All-Star game in any sport is they try and do too much in terms of too little.
They try
and make them unique, but I feel like they just missed the mark on this, combining like the abbreviation with the logo.
They used to just have them wear their regular jerseys and put a couple stars next to the MLB, and then they look beautiful.
Or like similar hats, but.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, you can't. I feel like it's just a term of selling merchandise. If you had the players just wear their own jerseys.
Yeah,
you can't really sell that. Just it's not usually how it works. But yeah, I feel like they kind of missed the mark. But I feel like it's kind of minuscule in the grand scheme of the actual All-Star game.
Yeah.
So
all right, you want to
kick it in rivalries?
We'll kick it, baby.
I'll start with you.
All right, so my first rivalry of the week is Yankees fan versus Alex Verdugo. I don't know if anybody's seen the viral clip of Verdugo throwing the ball to a young Red Sox fan, and the guy snagging it and throwing it back at Verdugo's head. This guy has now been banned from Yankee Stadium and the 29 other ballparks in Major League Baseball.
Really?
Every single baseball park, he could not go there.
I mean, I don't know if
this guy's gonna be the biggest fan of AAA
did you see
baseball.
It? The kid's like 15 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a man. He's like probably a junior in high school or something. The kid looked like a fucking greasy bonehead from Long Island. Who cares? Good riddance. Have fun not going to a baseball game ever again, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, go eat another fucking Italian sub.
Yeah, greasy. All right, so moving on. My top rivalries is Richard Sherman versus the Bottle. Guy tipped it back a little bit too much the other day and ended up in police custody. It was reported he drank two full bottles of hard alcohol by himself, and he was now facing several charges, and including one on suspicion of burglary, domestic violence, after he was arrested at his wife's parents' residence in Redmond, Washington, early Wednesday. The video, if you haven't seen it, is him essentially trying to fucking blow the door down to his father-in-law's house. And it just wouldn't budge, yelling all kinds of obsceneries and stuff. I don't know, like I don't really know the fine print of really what it is. I don't think anyone really does. But he suffered minor lacerations to a lower leg and ankle and was treated at the lower hospital, at a local hospital, and he has his hearing on Thursday, and he was held without bail. So who knows what he's sentenced to? But I think professional athletes usually get out a little scotch-free just because their record is a little bit lighter than others, so I think he'll just be sentenced to rehab or whatever he needs. But yeah, I just hope that he gets help because...
And his wife came out and even said, like, Richard was even suicidal, too, which is kind of crazy, like, to think about. Like, a member of the Legion of Doom, been a corner in this league for, I don't know how long, but just one of the most wild things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Out of left field.
It was pretty crazy, so hopefully he gets help. But yeah, definitely had a hard rivalry against the Bottle, and we're just glad everyone's okay. But yeah, the next one, which I don't even know if people know about this, just because it's more recent news. I mean, you didn't put it on, but I have another Yankee fan being a fucking scumbag. I have a Yankee fan versus Jason Varitek's 9-year-old daughter.
What did they do?
For those that don't know, little Jason Varitek's little daughter, 9 years old, was at the game yesterday in a Red Sox jersey. Game was over. Cool. They lost. Some greaser has the audacity to spit in a 9-year-old girl's face after she's walking out of the stadium in a Red Sox jersey.
They're going to hell.
A lot of Yankees fans went on the viral tweet and was like, yeah, chances this happened are 0. I think a 9-year-old girl is going to lie about a guy spit in the face?
Yeah.
A grown man? I mean, whoever would even think about doing this, you're a fucking loser.
Have fun in hell, dude.
It makes absolutely no sense. And obviously, Varitek probably heard about it and was the one to report it to people because, I mean, as a father, imagine getting spit on. Your daughter getting spit on. Sorry. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
That Yankees fan's going to hell.
I get it. You're 7-2 against the Red Sox. You think this is a rivalry. It's not. Like I said earlier, it's a game. You don't spit on little girls.
Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always people that have a couple of screws loose, and hopefully he gets worse punishment than the kid who threw the ball. Hopefully.
Especially at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, he'll get vindicated. I'm sure Varitek is on it, but just fucking disappointing shit. I mean, be better than that.
Right.
9-year-old girl, fucking grow up. So have that, and I also have Shohei Ohtani versus Jason Brown, who is the bullpen pitcher and catcher. For the Angels, he pitched to Shohei Ohtani, who was the heavy favorite, like I said earlier, and just absolutely fucking blew it. He blew it. Shohei could have won that if he had someone who knew
how to throw a strike.
How to throw it right in his zone where he needed to be, and it just was line drive after line drive. He was hanging fastballs and stuff like that. So if I'm Shohei, I know he doesn't really care. He seems like a real easygoing guy, but
he was laughing the whole time.
Exactly, but Jason Brown, you got to be fucking better than that. That was lackluster. And then I also have Miro versus the bag. Miro Heiskanen, getting 8 years, $8.25 million. Young kid, and now he's going to be making probably $9 million a year for the next 8 years. So, he's fucking up that bag.
Oh
there you go, Miro.
Lord.
And then my final one is I have me versus the off-season / the trade deadline. It's just like it's easily the best time to be a sports fan right now. The off-season is supposed to be time where you cool down and kind of think about something other than professional sports, but we're just going at 100 miles per hour now, and I'm just sitting here enjoying it all. So not much of a rivalry, but more like a love story between me and the off-season right now because I'm impressed by what it's bringing.
All right, before I mention my next one, I'm going to sprinkle in this one too, me versus Instagram, because I absolutely sonked myself. Speaking of Miro versus the bag, I tried to post that on the Fairweather fans Instagram page, and I posted it on my real one. Yeah. Like an absolute jackass.
It was pretty funny. I went on and
I posted it, went in the shower, came back. I see a text from Danny. He's like, "You posted that on your real Instagram." Sonk.
I just went on and I was like, "Oh, like Ty posted on the Instagram for the for the Miro Heiskanen signing," and then I go up and I see it. It was him, and he has like 10 likes from just people who follow him, and I go, "You posted the Miro post on the wrong account, Sonk." And you just went right in and deleted it, which no harm, no foul. Yeah.
But it happens.
If you're looking for the sports news, like I say every single time, follow the Instagram, work real hard on it, and, almost at 100 followers, so hopefully we can keep bumping it up.
How about that? And then
continue on.
My next one is Bryson DeChambeau versus his driver.
Yep.
And this is probably the best rivalry.
Thank you, Bryson.
Yeah.
For making me care a lot more about golf.
This rivalry is unbelievable. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau.
So much mental real estate.
He's getting interviewed, and he's like, "You know what? My driver sucks." And then, of course, Brooks Koepka gets interviewed the next day. He's like, "I did this, and this. I love my driver.
Love my driver.
Love my driver." Just like
he also posted on all social medias, driving into the weekend.
Yeah.
He's winning. He's winning. That's all I'm gonna say. Kid's winning. So.
Making golf fun again.
Exactly. I mean, it's stuff like this that the sport really needs, and I feel like everyone that's worked with Bryson has came out and just basically said the kid's a baby. Like it's just like the people who make his driver, like we work day and night to make sure that this one athlete has the perfect driver. The driver's been tested a million times just for him to make it perfect. And after his caddy quit, he had one of the people from the driving company. I forget what it's called exactly, but one of the people who works for the company caddied for him, and they came back and was like, it's like having an 8-year-old child just yell at you and being like, "Oh, I hate you, like you suck," and then you have to just sit there and be like, "Bryson, no, you don't mean that." And then later on, he apologizes. So now he's being compared to an 8-year-old child. Just like so many consecutive bad looks for the guy. It's him and Tony La Russa are just having an absolute summer for themselves, just absolutely degrading them. But yeah, Bryson basically said,
that's the first time
you
mentioned his name in a long time.
If I can hit it down the middle of the fairway, that's great. But the driver right now, the driver sucks. Take some responsibility, man. You're the one that picks the clubs, okay?
You're the one who gets it customized.
Exactly. So He said, it's not a good face for me, and we're still trying to figure out how to make it good on the miss hits. I'm living on the razor's edge like I've told people for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, you're right, Bryson. You've been telling everyone forever it's not your fault. You can't hit the driver. Like, you just hit it too hard. Like, no one, there's no, like, evidence or like, stats for someone who drives the ball as hard as you do for them to make the driver off of. So, they basically have a sample size of 1, and it's you. So, have some fucking patience. I don't know.
He does realize, like, he tries to crush the ball every time. Like, you don't have to do that. But, I mean, you're whatever. I didn't win the U.S. Open, whatever.
No, exactly.
And then my final rivalry of the week is Space Jam 1 versus Space Jam 2. I actually got to watch Space Jam 2. It's okay, you know.
Yeah, it's
all right. I think I'm gonna be on the Space Jam 1 side.
You
Which
think
one's
so?
better?
I mean, that's the popular side. I mean, what did you not like about it?
I don't know. It was just kind of weirded me out a little bit. I mean, there were great parts. I mean, it's a kid's movie at the end of the day, so you don't want to be too critical about it. The movie's made for kids.
Right. So.
Like, I was always a big Looney Tunes guy growing up, so I always I love Space Jam 1, and I didn't mind Space Jam 2. I don't know, the dynamic of it was a little weird. They did have some cool like cutaways, like Rick and Morty where it was in it, like all the Warner Brothers guys. Rick and Morty was in it. King Kong, Iron Giant, Austin Powers, Dr. Evil, they were all in it too.
Really?
Yeah, it was Sylvester the cat was Dr. Evil's cat.
That's great.
Which was awesome. So
I might just see it just because of the cameos, which is what they want. But yeah, like you said, at the end of the day, it's a kid's movie, and if you're a 30-year-old like complaining that it's not recapturing your childhood, you're a fucking bitch.
Like my boy Skip Bayless is like giving it like a full movie critique. It's like, dude, this movie's made for like 5-10-year-old kids.
Yes, it is rated PG.
And then I mean, I guess what I really didn't like about it was the actual basketball game. It was 1,000-5 in like the first 5 shots. So
really,
yeah, that's all I'll say. And it's safe to say LeBron was losing. So
yeah, okay. I'm sure I'll see that song.
No.
So with that said, I think that's going to wrap up today's episode. I think this will go down easily as our longest episode. We're now currently at 2 hours, 6 minutes. We usually make it to an hour 20, but it was the expansion draft episode we've been looking forward to for a very long time, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see how the expansion draft actually goes on Wednesday, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. So,
shaking off the rust this episode. We'll be back Thursday, even better.
Short break. We'll be uploading it in 3 days after this. So, quick turnaround, get 2 quick episodes to make up for the break. But yeah, thank you for listening. Had a blast recording this today, and have a good one.
Peace.